Good afternoon once again. This is RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for watching our previous live stream broadcast. If you got a chance to see the White House press briefing. Also, coming up in just a bit from now, the president will host a roundtable with law enforcement and administration officials to discuss the successes of Homeland Security task forces. So we'll have that in its entirety, and we'll see if the president will answer some questions. Usually he does after events like this. In the meantime, we have a number of interviews to get to. And speaking of interviews, let's go to Robert McNeely, who interviewed David Schroeder with Monetary Gold. Take a look.
Welcome back to the RSBN Live Desk. It is David Schroeder from Monetary Gold. I just learned that gold skyrocketed 777% over the last 20 years. What are the reasons for this bull market, David? And is this massive long-term rise of gold's value beneficiary for the American people?
Well, 20 years ago, gold was roughly $450 an ounce. Today, it's over $4,000 an ounce. So yeah, that is a pretty huge meteoric rise in the price of gold. Now, some of the reasons for that, one, we've got, bank bailouts. We've got continual economic crises. We've got trillions in record debt. I mean, we're running deficits like crazy. We're printing money like there's no tomorrow. And so, all of these things add up, including the devaluing of the dollar, to make gold really rise the way it has. And over 20 years, look, we had 500 plus banks fail during the 2008 debacle. And then while President Obama was in office, he overwatched all of those bank failures. Not that his policies had a direct impact, but, there are some laws that came out from that debacle that he is responsible for. But yeah, that is a huge rise over 20 years. That's a near 800% rise. There aren't too many investments that have done anything like that.
And when you compare it to the breakdown of annualized returns on other commodities, how does it compare to the investments over that same period of time?
So that works out to roughly about an 11% return year after year after year on gold. Who can say that they've had investments do that? Now, over the same time period, depending on the amount of dividends that you've got, the S&P has gone roughly 250 to 180% over the same period of time. So that's a pretty good rise. But a 700% or 800% rise is much better, especially for your retirement accounts, when it comes to, putting money into assets and then trying to grow those assets so that your own asset base continues to grow. So, over those 20 years, the stock market, look what the stock market has done. We've hit like more than a dozen new highs just in the last 12 months alone. So the stock market is, way up there. S&P is getting close. The NASDAQ has done extremely well over the same period of time. I don't know what that percentage is, but it's done pretty well. But nothing has matched gold or precious metals as a whole as an investment or as a retirement portfolio asset. Gold has just skyrocketed.
Now, I think it's fair to ask as well, because of this, what does that mean ultimately for the dollar in the same amount of time? We know we're dealing with a weak dollar right now, but what would you rather put your commodities in as you're using diversification to stay afloat? Can we really rely on paper money and the dollar to stand the test of time?
Well, if you look at history, fiat currencies generally have a lifespan of 80 to 100 years. We are the only nation whose currency is beginning to outlast that particular trend. And that trend is not looking good right now for the United States. Over those last 20 years, the dollar has lost 40% of its value. So let me put it in a simple term. You've got $100,000 in your savings and you're retired. And over that 20-year period, you're living off of those funds. Well, if your $100,000 has lost 40% of its value, that means now you've got $60,000 to live on, because that dollar doesn't stretch as far, and it can't purchase as much as it used to purchase. So yeah, over the last 20 years, it's not been a good picture for the dollar. On top of that, we've got BRICS. We've got 100 plus nations that want to de-dollarize their nations from us. So we've got the whole de-dollarization. We've got BRICS. We've got record debt. I mean, look, we're getting close to $38 trillion of debt. We're adding a trillion dollars of debt every 100 days. So the dollar is really, it's losing value rapidly. And, if we look at all of the currencies over just the last 250 years, there are no other currencies in circulation. They generally die out within 80 to 100 years. We're getting to that 100-year mark, and look at what the debt is doing to our dollar. So the dollar, that paper asset, that's not an asset worth holding on to. It's better to take that paper asset and put it in something that doesn't lose value the way the dollar is doing. So that's kind of how the dollar has shaped up just over the last 20 years. It's lost 40% of its value.
And all of that inflation, simply a hidden tax for the American people.
Yep.
So thank you for making that comparison, David, because I think it really helps people visualize just how bad it can be, because it can be confusing at times. You have your taxes on an annual basis, sometimes every 6 months. And then you look at that, and all of a sudden, why isn't it going further than it once was?
Right.
Well, that's a great answer for it there. So a lot of Americans are naturally worried about their nest egg. How should gold and silver play that role of protecting what they've worked so hard to achieve over the course of countless years?
Well, let me respond to what you said about inflation. Governments love inflation. Why? Because it's easier to pay down their debt when the dollar's inflated. But inflation is not good for you and me. It's not good for our purchasing power. It's not good for our savings. It's not good to retire when there's high inflation, because maybe our dollar used to go this far, but now it only goes this far. And so precious metals as a whole, especially gold and silver, what they do is, let me use this example. Back in the 1920s, you could go to the Federal Reserve, or you could go to the bank, and you could buy a $20 gold piece for $20, right? You give them a $20 Federal Reserve note, and you'd get a $20 gold piece in place of that $20 bill. Well, that $20 gold piece back then could buy one of the highest quality suits that you could find in the American market. And so you take that same $20 gold piece 100 years later, and that $20 gold piece can still purchase the same high quality suit that you could purchase 100 years ago. Why is that? Well, the dollar doesn't have the same value anymore, but gold retains its value. So if you have, let's say, $1,000 today, and you buy $1,000 worth of gold today, and we go into the future, and now that $1,000 is worth, let's say, well, let's use the 20-year example. It lost 40% of its value. Well, now you've got $600. Well, that's still that $1,000 worth of gold. It's still worth $1,000. It hasn't lost that 40% of value. So now you take your gold. If you're a retiree, you might take just a small chunk of your precious metals and you trade them in for current dollars, right? So you're going to get a whole lot more dollars. And so that same amount of dollars will still purchase the same amount today as that $1,000 would have done, just a few years ago. So metals don't lose their value. They keep growing in value. But the reason why it grows in value is because the dollar is becoming valueless. It's losing value. It's losing purchasing power. It doesn't go as far. So if you are a retiree, or you're a soon-to-be retiree, I would say that it would behoove you to take at least 30% of what you have and put it into gold or silver. Right now, silver's on fire. Silver at the beginning of the year was roughly $26, $27. Since January 1st of 2025, it has gone from there. It hit, I think, a high of $51. It's pulled back a little bit. It's $49 today. But that's a meteoric rise in silver just in 8 months or 9 months of time. And so if you put these metals in your retirement account, what you're doing is you're preserving your purchasing power for the future. Because as that gold keeps going up and the silver keeps going up, when you eventually, turn it in to get some dollars to live on, well, you still have that same purchasing power. If you bought $1,000 worth of gold 10 years ago, today that $1,000 worth of gold is worth $5,000. So you still have the ability to buy the same things to pay for your bills, pay for your mortgage, pay for, whatever your living expenses are. So it's a huge hedge for today for retirees and soon to be retirees. So I would say look at precious metals, put them in your portfolio, and spare yourself the headache and the nerves when, for the guy who's only in paper and he's retired and he's like, what am I going to do? And you've got all this metal in your portfolio and you're like, life is good. So that's what I would say to retirees, diversify, protect yourself and build yourself a hedge. So in the future, you don't lose that purchasing power.
Well, it makes a lot of sense as well, David, and people can find this complimentary presidential gold guide at rsbnforthegold.com. And can you walk us through as well? Because I think some, whether it's on the younger end of things, let's say I'm in the millennial generation or those who are retired now looking into this diversification, they might be nervous about the IRA fees attached with that. But it's my understanding monetary gold can help to eliminate those permanently so you can get your start with diversification.
Absolutely. So we do have a free guide. The guide basically kind of gives you an overview of what's going on in the world today. It talks about why all of the central banks, not the central bank just here in the United States, but globally, why they're buying gold, why they're hoarding gold. One of the big things right now that we just learned in the last couple of weeks that all of these central banks are divesting themselves of U.S. Treasury bills, right? And so now they're heavy gold and they're light U.S. Treasury bills. Well, that used to be the bedrock of our credit system. And so adding that gold, I lost my train of thought, sorry. When you have that, the overview of the guide basically tells you what's going on in the world, why these things are happening, why gold is going up, why the dollar is losing value, and then it kind of shows you the simple steps for how you can get gold into your portfolio. And as far as the IRA fees go, so this is for RSBN viewers. Those IRA fees can really eat into your savings. And so what we're doing is you can pick up the phone and call. Tell us what your concerns are. Tell us what's scaring you about the market right now. And so what we'll do is if you open up an account with us, there are certain criteria that you have to meet, but we will cover all of the IRA fees for the life of your account. And, depending on the size of your account, those IRA fees can be pretty stiff. I've seen some people paying as much as $1,250 a year in annual costs just for someone to make decisions about their account. We will cover all of those for RSBN viewers for the life of their account. So all that money can now be taken and turned back into, an investment in something, or you can purchase more gold. If it's a self-directed IRA, the IRS will let you buy real estate, it'll let you buy art, it'll let you buy precious metals, anything that's IRS approved. And the only thing that we deal with are IRS approved metals. So there are a lot of metals out there that you can purchase, but if it's not IRS approved, we don't sell it. We don't include it. But that's kind of an overview of what the guide has, and that's an overview of what we'll do for RSBN viewers if they would like to have their fees covered.
And that's right there at rsbnforthegold.com. It's David Schroeder of Monetary Gold, the best in the business. We look forward to seeing you again, sir, and thanks for joining us at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
All right, so there you go. Great interview there with Monetary Gold's David Schroeder as it's the bottom of the hour, 2:32 Eastern Time. Looking forward to seeing the president there. Beautiful day in Washington, D.C., a fall day there. You can see the flag right in front of the White House. In the meantime, before we get to our interview with All Family Pharmacy, for a number of people in our audience, it's Medicare annual enrollment time. And if you're 64 or older, you know what that means. Nonstop robocalls, junk mail, and spam texts for people trying to sell you something. The truth is Medicare is confusing on purpose. And who benefits? The big insurance companies do. And every year they quietly change their plans. Some plans they even drop completely. This leaves millions of Americans stuck on plans that cost too much or cover too little. So even if you like your current plan, you've got to look at the 2026 options as well. That's where Chapter comes in. Chapter doesn't work for big insurance or the government. They're independent. They're the only advisors who compare every Medicare plan nationwide to find one that fits your needs and preferences. So they make things quick and easy. It takes under 20 minutes to review your options. And if your plan is still the best for you in 2026, great. That's all you have to do. You're done. But if not, they'll help you switch. On average, people who work with Chapter save $1,100 a year. And the best part, their help is free. So don't let the system take advantage of you. Call 833-438-3359. You see that number there on your screen. And let Chapter make your Medicare work for you. Also, let's go to Spring, Texas quickly and talk about Angel Paste. They have a flagship product there, the Miracle Cream. You can go to angelpaste.com, use the RSBN promo code. They hire military veterans. There's a lot of products on there. Just go to angelpaste.com to check them all out. Great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. As it's now 2:34 Eastern Time, we have a number of interviews to get to, including with All Family Pharmacy. This is the owner of All Family Pharmacy, Michael Kunzler. Thanks so much for joining us on the network.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Definitely. You know, a lot of times we talk about All Family Pharmacy, but being able to talk to the people that run the business is always good, because every time you've been on, it's really breaking down the information for people. And it makes it easy. You know, it's easy to get things like ivermectin or mebendazole through you guys, right?
Yeah, well, we try to make it as easy possible because these things can be very difficult. Most pharmacies or doctors don't even want to touch it. So
exactly. And that's what's great about All Family Pharmacy. And speaking of independent, like we are independent media, you're independent pharmacy. A lot of people are saying that's the way we want to go. We don't want that mainstream thing anymore. So the question I have is, what inspired All Family Pharmacy to launch a breast cancer sale featuring mebendazole, and how does it empower patients to take control of their health choices?
we decided to do this sale, obviously, because October, as we know, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We've developed this great relationship with Dr. William Mackis, who's been a big believer in ivermectin and mebendazole supporting the fight during cancer. And he's seen great results with his almost 7,000 patient base. And we've seen some results on our end, whether it's with Dr. Mackis's patients or patients who come to us without Dr. Mackis's protocol. So, we believe that everybody should have the right to try these medications if they want to go that route. If a healthcare practitioner or a doctor deems it necessary through a prescription, we believe that they have that ability to try it. Now, most oncologists probably won't like it due to different reasonings. But the one thing we did notice is with the oncologist world is those with breast cancer, most of them got the okay, not most of them, but a good amount of them got the okay to utilize these drugs off label for breast cancer. These were breast cancer patients. So we've seen it more susceptible for breast cancer patients over prostate and pancreatic and all the different types of cancer. So we're more geared towards mebendazole specifically and breast cancer. I'm reading up a bunch of different companies that are running trials. But the one key finding that we find in these trials is no big pharmaceutical company is going to touch it because the drugs cannot be patented. They're off patent. They did their 10-year patent and they're done. So they can't make money off of it. So no big pharmaceutical company will touch this. So we're not going to see big trials going on. We do have smaller trials at the moment, which you could find online, which is great information to read up on yourself.
Exactly. And so mebendazole is actually giving breast cancer patients the medical freedom to explore affordable, accessible alternatives, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of similar to, what Donald Trump said is the right to try, giving you that ability to try an additional route or an additional treatment on top of what you're taking. Dr. Makis, as well as the physicians that we work directly with, as well as our pharmacists, are always going to tell the patient to continue doing the treatment their oncologist wants them to do. We always are going to say, tell your oncologist if you're taking these medications. A lot of patients are scared to tell them. Unfortunately, you should always mention to them that you are taking these other medications like ivermectin or mebendazole. We're just going to suggest that what the patient does is what the patient wants to do. It's medical freedom. They have that ability to make that decision themselves. But we're big proponents of it. We're seeing some great data, and we're hoping that this trials in Florida starts soon through Dr. Latipo. So that would be awesome to see the results.
So double checking then. So then for breast cancer patients already on chemotherapy, how does All Family Pharmacy reassure them that mebendazole and similar options like ivermectin are both safe to combine with standard treatments and potentially more effective at supporting their fight, giving them the medical freedom to explore these without that fear of the interference? I know you talked about it a little bit there, but just more specifically.
Yeah, so based on our physicians and the protocols from Dr. Makis, they're prescribing it all the time with chemotherapy, radiation, as well as immunotherapy. So we're already getting data when people are taking chemo, radiation, and immunotherapy. One of the cool inserts that Dr. Makis went over about a month ago in Venice, Florida, was that he's actually seeing better results when they combine the two, when they combine the ivermectin and the mebendazole, and they combine it with a chemotherapy or immunotherapy. He's actually seeing fantastic results. And he went over, he cited a bunch of examples where patients with smaller stages of cancer, stage 1, 2, or possibly 3, but traditionally it was stage 2. They did about 2 or 3 rounds of chemo, and they came back and cancer was gone, or most of it was gone, and the oncologist was just wanting to make sure they finished the remaining 4, 5, 6 rounds of chemo, whichever cancer it was for. So that was pretty interesting to see, and he was citing a lot of examples. If you go to his Twitter, he cites these examples direct from patients who he communicates directly with, and just to be able to see that firsthand was amazing. He had a lot of patients there who actually beat cancer with chemo, radiation, immunotherapy, and his protocol. So that was also interesting to see. And a couple of them were patients of our pharmacy. We got to meet them. So that was also great as well.
Yeah, so it's the feedback, the positive feedback, the results that you're seeing. And now you guys have a, 40% off of mebendazole. So how can people say, hey, you know what, that's something I want to try? What do they do from there?
Yeah, so they can go directly on the website. We don't have a coupon code. What we like to do is we like to just release the discounts to everybody. New patient, old patient, doesn't matter. Anybody that wants to try the medications, we're going to give them a discount so that they could try it. Those who are already on it and they're seeing some results, hopefully they're positive, can go ahead and re-up or refill their prescriptions and stock up on supplies. Mebendazole is not a cheap product. It's not a cheap medication. If you go and buy it right now, when it's not compounded from a company like All Family Pharmacy, the manufacturer, last time I looked up, it was $650 for one chewable tablet. For 100 milligram chewable tablet, $650. So it's a little bit expensive in my eyes for just one tablet, $650. So we compound it, and you could buy 60 capsules for $120. Knock off 40%, it's like $90 for 60 capsules, whereas you're paying $650 for one. So you can go directly to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. All of the discounts are applied. We've notated it on the website. got some medical questions to fill out with our doctors to make sure that it's safe and effective for you based on your medical history, and we can prescribe it. And if you have questions, you can give us a call.
And then on top of that, the biohacking that we've been talking about as well that you guys have to offer. So just a lot of options, aren't there?
Yes, we're big proponents of the biohacking. We love it. Those who want to try it, we'll hopefully have another discount coming soon, because last time we ran a biohacking discount, we had a lot of new patients call us or old patients who have never done NAD plus and tirzepatide or Somorelin or glutathione. They really were interested to try it. That discount gave them the ability to try it. And now they're buying it, once a month, once every other month, however long they need it for. It's an amazing new medications that are on the market, making people feel younger, act younger, speak more clearly, less brain fog. I love methylene blue. Methylene blue is on that discount. And a lot of people with cancer are trying the methylene blue, as it does that atropic effect where it cleans up the dead cells. Gets rid of them, kind of like when you're fasting for cancer. You're trying to clean up all those dead cells in your body so your body can concentrate on what's good.
Michael Kunzler, the owner of All Family Pharmacy, thank you again for spending the time with us. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN for all of the information that you need there. A great independent pharmacy and a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 2:43 Eastern Time. Sunny skies, fall skies there in Washington, D.C. We do know that the president is going to have a roundtable discussion here with law enforcement and administration officials to discuss the successes of Homeland Security task forces. So we'll have all of that in just a minute. In the meantime, before we get to our live interview at 2:45 Eastern, and we have some other interviews as well to get to, depending on the timing when the event starts. It's slated, as you see, to start at 3. We'll determine some of that, but there's always tomorrow as well to air some of the interviews. So we'll see how that all pans out in just a second. Let's go to gold, monetary gold for you. 2 banks have already failed in 2025, and with $38 trillion in national debt, monetary gold says, unfortunately, more failures are on the way. It's not fear-mongering, it's reality. The banking system, unfortunately, is built on quicksand, and every new failure threatens depositors, retirement accounts, and pensions. The government can't bail out everyone, and when confidence collapses, so does the system. So monetary gold tells us not to get trapped holding worthless paper, but just give them a call. Get that free info kit, 888-617-7994, or go to RSBN4thegold.com today and secure your wealth with real assets. Let's shift over to one more sponsor before we go to the great Silk at 2:45. CovePure.com/RSBN. I think this could be sold very quickly by saying, do you like tap water? And most of the time, people are saying you don't. And especially because there's so much stuff in the tap water, right? Pharmaceuticals and just all this stuff's in there. Well, lead, you don't want any of that, right? So 99.9% of all that junk is taken away with CovePure. The water tastes good. You have, as you see there, the touch button for cold, warm, and hot water. This is a great purifying system for your water. So right out of the tap, you put it through that system, and then, man, it's going to taste much better, and it's going to be much healthier for you. So drink pure, live pure, CovePure.com/RSBN. Great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll be heading to Silk in just a minute. In the meantime, let's talk about the fact that the president will be, again, having this roundtable discussion with law enforcement, talking about Homeland Security task forces. And Silk, I believe you're on the line there. Let's talk about that. With the National Guard, we're seeing it in, D.C. I was going to say Chicago. We'll see what happens there. But, Portland, that'll be happening. The National Guard in Memphis. So it seems like the people that are on the left side of the aisle, only a few of them, because it's not a majority of the country, it's just a few saying, we don't want the National Guard. But why wouldn't you want the Guard there to help with crime?
Well, when you have and you're dealing with corrupt politicians, they don't want you to come in and clean up the rats that's clogging the pipe to the system. They are the rats that's clogging the pipe to the system. Okay, I just have to be boldly and speak truly about it. We have a lot of corruption that's been going on, and especially a lot of the Democrat-ran cities. If you look at those Democrat-ran cities, they're filled with corruption, it's filled with criminality, and they don't want that to stop because, unfortunately, they thrive off of this. Whenever they create the problem, okay, then they can run to the government and say, hey, we need money to fix this problem. Then when the government gives them this, the money for the problem, the people is the one that suffer. We're left at the bottom with the problem and the money is gone. So I really look at this as a way for them to continue to launder money through these different systems that they actually create. But the people, we are the ones that suffer from it. And I'm so grateful that President Trump is going in to uproot the rot. I mean, from the root. I mean, it's so rotten to the core. We can't put a Band-Aid on this problem any longer or it's going to continue to fester. But going in and uprooting, I mean, getting a shovel and digging up the rot from the root. I am so grateful President Trump is doing that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great point. And people like J.B. Pritzker or Mayor Bass in L.A. or the Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago, wherever you want to talk about whatever mayor or governor that's on the left side of history, the wrong side of history, you're right. You're exactly right, Silk, because I remember interviewing a few people about this, saying that the money, they say, oh, there's a crime problem. Send us money to help with these programs. And then that money just goes into their pockets. And you're right, the people are left out to dry. The crime's still happening out there.
But they are the ones that's fighting to defund the police, but asking for money, and then look at Chicago. Just think about it. Chicago, the residents there with their rules and their red tape that they have there, they can't have guns. No guns for the residents there, but a lot of people are getting murdered by what? Guns. Okay. And I'm like, the problem is there. The corruption is there. But they don't want to solve the problem. I just look at, I believe his name is Elijah Cummings, God rest his soul. He's I believe the mayor of, or the politicians there in Maryland. And, the rats I heard it was as big as cats running there in Maryland. Okay. Do you not realize with all of the money that was going in to that particular city and state, they didn't have enough common sense to even purchase decon to kill the rats. But that money was just laundered through the different systems. And the cities look run down. But when you think about the Democrats always crying, democracy, democracy, you never hear them say we're a constitutional republic. Because I believe that our systems have been infiltrated with individuals that's from third world countries. And that's why they have our cities looking the way that they're looking, like third world countries, the homelessness high. You got like I say, the corruption is high, the crime is high, and they want it there because once again they thrive in the midst of all of this here. I'm telling you, when you talk about the devil being in the midst of confusion, the Democrat rats, they are really truly in the midst of it, and it's terrorizing. It's terrorizing American citizens. It truly is. And I think that with President Trump going in and allowing the light to be shined on everything that's going on, it's causing the citizens to say, wait, hold up, wait a minute. We don't have to live in poverty. We don't have to live in fear that we can't even walk to the corner store and get a loaf of bread and a jug of milk without catching a bullet. We don't have to live that way. And it's showing people that you don't have to live that way. It's these politicians, Matt, they are really, truly the real criminals. And I know that President Trump have already deemed Antifa as a terrorist organization. But when I look at these different socialist organizations and communist organizations, they are really at the arms of the Democrat Party. I truly believe in my heart of heart, and these are my opinions, that the Democrat Party needs to be deemed a terrorist organization because they've been terrorizing American citizens while advocating for illegal aliens.
And then on top of that, the people, whether they are drug users, whether they are whatever, the citizens that are not free, they need to be set free. Let's talk about, come on now, right, Silk?
Yes.
Go ahead,
Hey.
go with it, Silk, go with it.
No, you're absolutely right. They need to be set free. This is the United States of America, okay? The United States, not the divided states, all right? The land of the free, the home of the brave, not slaves. People need to stop thinking that they're slaves, stop having a slave mentality, and stop allowing these people to enslave you mentally. That's what's been going on. Just look at the SNAP program, the things that's coming down the pipeline when it comes down to the SNAP program. You have a lot of people that's been there getting food stamps and so forth, but a lot of them are able-bodied. And now I'm looking at videos coming across the timelines. You got these people saying, wait a minute, and these are young people, okay? Men, I'm speaking of men in general, they're saying that no, they don't want to work. They don't want to get up and work. They want to continue to get these subsidies, get these food stamps and different things, because they got to feed their children. They got to do this, they got to do that. But see, their mind have been indoctrinated into thinking that you have to be government dependent, that you can't depend on yourself, that there's no independency out there. But why are we talking about having access to the American dream? That's not having access to the American dream, being government dependent, because when you're government dependent, that means the government can control you. And that's it. They have actually controlled these people's mind to the point that they've been doing it wrong for so long that they think it's right.
We're talking about setting people free here. And Silk, that's so perfect what you said there. But what sets people free? The truth will do.
The truth.
Come on. The truth will set you free. I mean, it's simple stuff, and that's the thing. And isn't it interesting, Silk, that the mainstream media, the leftist leaders, and we're not talking about every Democrat or every citizen of our country. We're not talking about the people. We're just talking about those few that want to control the masses, the people that are saying, we don't want you to be near the truth, because if you get the truth, you're going to be what? Set free. Come on, Silk.
That's right. The naked, nasty, low-down, gutter-written truth is what the people are getting now, especially from underground media, just like from RSBN. People are getting the truth. They're hearing the truth. A lot of them are having what's called the Great Awakening, because they've been asleep in a stupor for so long, listening to a lot of these left-leaning liberal media, the lamestream media, where they tell you a bunch of lies. People are seeing that stuff is not adding up. They're starting to connect the dots, and the dots are not connecting. They're saying there's a disconnect here and something is seriously wrong. So they are in search of the truth. And like you say, the truth and only but the truth is going to set you free with the help of God, of course.
Amen. In Jesus' name on that. And, you know, when we're talking about all of this, I can't stop thinking about how the media today, they actually took the time. This is national media, international news, and they're asking, Carolyn, what about the ballroom? How much is it going to be? When there's a million, they're just trying to drown us with these stupid headlines. And that's why it's great to have conservative media, to your point, Silk.
That's right. They got to understand that President Trump is a builder. Okay, he loves building things. All right. Now, when Jim Crow Joe Biden was up there, he turned that White House into an old folks' home, into a straight up dump. Had all of these demonic different people up there. It was ridiculous. Okay. But with President Donald J. Trump, he's coming in and he wants to build. He wants to create. He wants to show us and the world that we don't have to live like we've been living. We don't have to look like we've been looking. But what the ones that's really having a hissy fit are Democrats. Why are they having a hissy fit about building? Because they don't want us to see nothing new. They don't want us to see nothing great. They want us to think that they need our tax dollars just for them to give it over to foreign entities, to foreign interests, for humanitarian crisis overseas. That's what that's all they want us to see is what's right here. But once again, it's just like back in the slavery days, they didn't want you to watch TV. Why? Because they didn't want you to see nothing new or learn nothing new. With President Donald J. Trump, he's turning on the TV of America, and letting us see it's nothing wrong with building, baby. You can take your money and build whatever you want, whatever you need. And if Jim Crow Joe Biden can take and destroy that White House, President Donald J. Trump can rebuild it.
So if there is, the Washington Capitals play in obviously D.C., right? I think you should be the main speaker at an event. I think it should just be Silk. I don't want any I'll do a pre-program. I'll stand up there and introduce you, but we need to have you up on the stage and just let it go and have another rally for the United States of America, because people are resonating with what you're saying.
Amen to that, and I'll be right there, baby. I'll be right there to stand in the gap of it all.
I'm calling Capital One Arena right now. Hey, Silk, you're
because,
awesome.
That's what's missing. That's what's missing, Matt. A lot of people are in fear of speaking out, speaking the truth. They are in fear of what they call being canceled. But like I told them, I've already canceled poverty a long time ago. I've already canceled destruction a long time ago. I've already canceled my black card a long time ago, baby. I'm going to always be who I am. I am an American citizen of the United States of America, and I don't have a problem with calling a spade a spade. If you are a dumb spade, then you're going to be a dumb spade. If you're a smart one, you're going to be a smart one. But I'm going to call you exactly what it is. I don't care if you're left wing, right wing, or in between. I'm going to call it right on out, Matt. And
then you also said something about polka dot. Don't you say something about polka dots?
That's right. I don't care if you're black, white, pinstripe, polka dot, or plaid. I'm still going to call you right on out, baby.
Come on now, Silk. Where can people follow you and watch your show?
Oh, certainly. Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Hey, I have a lot of platforms that's streaming it. I'm on Lindell TV Network, RSBN network as well, streams the show. Once again, you all, that's Mondays through Fridays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live.
RSBN is an OG of MAGA because we covered a bazillion rallies, and Silk, you are also OG MAGA, and that's what the people like, because that's what they are. All of you guys watching right now on the right side of history, some may disagree that are watching, but a majority of those of you watching right now, you guys are all OG MAGA. Let's be real. Let's really Amen. Go for it. It's the top of the hour. Silk, thanks so much for joining us once again.
God bless.
God bless you. All right, so about to have a rally there, right? It would be good to have another rally sometime here in the future, and maybe President Trump will be doing that for the midterms. I remember one of the speeches saying that he would be doing rallies, whether tele-rallies or maybe in person. I'm sure around some arenas, auditoriums, that kind of thing. We'll see. Buckle up, 2026. Whew, man, we got to win those midterms. All right, before we get to the top of the hour, which is going to be in about 20 seconds from now, let's go to All Family Pharmacy. If you're just joining us, we had Michael Kunzler, the owner of this great pharmacy, on with us. And you may have heard of tirzepatide, the GLP-1 peptide making headlines for fast, effective weight loss. Well, that's one of the many biohacking products you can get from our good sponsor there at All Family Pharmacy, because biohacking isn't just a trend. It's about feeling and performing better every day. More energy, clearer focus, faster recovery, and healthier aging, all by giving your body the right support. So, All Family Pharmacy goes beyond your everyday prescriptions with proven science-backed enhancers like NAD+ for energy, focus, and longevity. Samorlin to support better sleep and muscle recovery. How about glutathione for powerful detox and immune protection? There's also methylene blue for brain performance and mental clarity. And yes, tirzepatide for weight loss, prescribed by a licensed doctor and shipped right to your door. So if you're ready to take your health to the next level, visit allfamilypharmacy.com/biohacking to get started today and use code RSBN10 to get 10% off your order. It is now 3 o'clock, top of the hour, waiting for President Trump there at the White House. Let's go to one more sponsor here, Perplexity, which is also Comet. Now, this is great stuff because, first of all, a question for you. How much time do you spend every day on a web browser? How much time do you spend clicking around online, searching, scrolling, typing, endless tabs? It's a lot, right? Well, there's a new AI web browser from Perplexity. It's called Comet. I've used it before. It's completely changing the way you're able to interact with your browser. So using Comet feels more like having a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you across the internet, actually do things instead of just give you answers. You can ask Comet to handle tasks for you, and it literally clicks, types, searches, scrolls just like you would to get things done for you in the background while you go about your day. Comet can also shop for you, make reservations, book travel, summarize articles or videos, send emails, schedule meetings, and a lot more to make your life easier. So download easy saying that. Download Perplexity's new AI web browser. It's called Comet, by heading to that website you see there on the right side of your screen next to the RSBN logo. Plus, right now, when you download Comet, you get a month of Rumble Premium for free. Great sponsor there, and always good to talk about Rumble. It's great to have a conservative, or at least a free network out there, a streaming network that is for the people. And those of you watching on all the other platforms, thanks so much for doing so as well, as it's 3:02 Eastern, Thursday, October 23rd. Silk and I were talking about RSBN and other conservative networks and Silk's show. And, well, you know, Gen Z's doing a kick-ass job out there, aren't they? You know, they're out there like Nick Shirley, Bo Diddle. These are people with TPUSA, as Bo is, Katie Davis Court. These are people that are names that are starting to get some traction out there. Savannah Hernandez. I said Nick Shirley. There's so many. Just Nick Sordor. So many people out there doing a great job, and they're right there in the middle of all of these cities, all of these protests, just interviewing people, getting reactions, really boots on the ground. And it's great to see that within the whole umbrella of conservative media, for the people, for God, family, country, and freedom. Speaking of Bo Diddle, he is someone, again, he's a TPUSA content creator. We interviewed him earlier. It's about a 5-minute interview. We're going to take a look at that. If we see the president on a live feed, we'll go directly to the president. But in the meantime, let's go to Bo Diddle. And joining us now is the TPUSA, one of the TPUSA content creators, Bo Diddle. Bo, thanks so much for joining us on Right Side.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Let's talk about Gen Z journalism. Boots on the ground, speaking truth and freedom. I've seen some of your videos out there. It's great to be a part of TPUSA, isn't it?
It is. It's such a blessing. I never realized how important it was until here recently, and it's such a blessing. I never take it for granted.
Exactly. And I saw your post about Charlie, and I'm going to read it here. Charlie Kirk's life was a fearless stand for freedom. Founding Turning Point USA, he sparked a movement that inspired millions with bold truth. His life and his legacy as a conservative titan will endure forever. Rest in power, Charlie. That's perfectly said, man. That's perfect. So that's obviously from the heart. And now, how are you going to go and continue on doing what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I say this all the time. No one is ever going to fill the shoes of Charlie. But if we all do it, each of us get our boots on and we each go out and try and be like Charlie, then there's a chance that we can come close to filling his shoes. We'll never fill his shoes entirely, but if everyone steps up together, we can do our best in trying to do that. So for me personally, I'm just trying to do what I do best, and that's going on the street, talking to people, getting the raw reactions that other people aren't necessarily going out and doing. That's what I like to do the most. So this weekend I'll be in Chicago at an ICE protest. So I'm going to be talking to them. And then after that, it's just nonstop going to protest after protest, trying to get the truth out there and really show the world how violent the left is acting. Some of the reactions that they've had both online and in person have been appalling. It makes you want to throw up. It makes you nauseous. So it's just time to go out there and expose those people.
And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people are now doing things like that, like yourself. And where can people watch that clip? Will it be live streamed, or is it something that you're going to edit and then still post, which still is good, which a lot of people do? But tell us about where people could find all that.
Yes. So Frontlines by Turning Point USA, they are absolutely amazing. It's such a blessing to be a part of them. And basically what we do is we go out on the street and uncover things in real time. So if you are seeing a post on the Frontlines Turning Point USA Twitter page, it is in real time 9 times out of 10. So I highly encourage you to check out Frontlines TPUSA on X. That's where you have people like me, Savannah Hernandez, Jonathan Cho, going out there and getting the protest coverage in real time that the mainstream media outlets aren't going to show you.
Exactly. And that's the thing that we love about conservative media. And we're all in this whole thing, showing truth and speaking about freedom out there. And so, Bo, tell me why for you, though, personally, why you do what you do. Why is it now? Why you could have done this maybe in 10 years from now, but you're doing it now. And why?
Well, it's, to be brutally honest, someone has to do it. And when I was growing up, I saw that not many people were doing it, and there was a huge opening for people to go out there and expose the truth. And we do have a good number of fearless, boots on the ground reporters out there that are covering the truth, but we could have so many more. And so for me, I just feel as if it's my calling to go out there and get the real footage, both protests, but then also doing man on the street coverage where I talk to the people and ask them, hey, why are you out here? Why are you so motivated to go against the Trump administration? Someone has to ask these questions, and to be brutally honest, just not enough people are doing it. And so I feel like it's my duty to be one of those people to step up.
It's awesome. It's awesome that you're doing that. And the country, that the people that are on the right side of history, which is the majority of the nation, applaud you for doing that for all of us. You know what I mean? Because, I'm here in Alabama. I'm not there. I'd like to go sometime. I want to see what it's like. But you're actually going boots on the ground. So I believe the majority of the country applauds you in what you do for God, family, faith, freedom, and the United States of America. So thank you.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Definitely, Bo. That's Bo Diddle right there. He's a TPUSA content creator. Bo, thanks again.
Thank you.
And just a shout out to everybody out there that is working on behalf of the people in the sense of conservative media, podcasters, social media influencers. And if you're putting yourself in the way of going to Chicago, I mean, this is not something that is very easy to do, to go right downtown and go in the middle of a protest. But these guys and gals are doing it, and it's great to see it. 3:09, Thursday, October 23rd, getting ready to see President Trump hosting a roundtable with law enforcement and administration officials. This is all to discuss the successes of Homeland Security task forces. We'll have all of that in its entirety. Let's go to a chance for you, if you'd like, to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network. All you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. Also, there's another way, rsbnetwork.com/donate. So 2 ways there for you. Great to see the amount of people that do donate to the network as we continue to grow and continue to expand. And also, we're not bought and paid for by some woke corporation, which is great. So if you'd like to donate to us, go ahead. Text RSBN to 801-801, even if it's $5, $1. If it's no dollars, no worries. But glad to bring you all this live coverage you're about to see from Washington, D.C. And that feed, of course, that we get to D.C. Is not free. So definitely costs quite the penny to air what we're about to air every day here at the network. All right, let's also go to mypillow.com/RSBN, another great sponsor, longtime sponsor, Mike Lindell, of course, the great Mike Lindell. Go to mypillow.com/RSBN as the appeal for that October 27th deadline is nearing for assistance for Mike. So if you missed the first interview that we had with Mike, it was part 1 was the previous broadcast during the Carolyn Leavitt White House press briefing. So you could watch that interview if you'd like, get some context on what's going on there. But in the meantime, always good to help out mypillow.com/RSBN. A lot of great products. I know my wife and I, we have a bunch of them. Our family has a bunch of them. I know you guys do too. So maybe buy some more at mypillow.com/RSBN and save with that code RSBN. Speaking of Mike Lindell, let's go to part 2 of the interview in just a second. Want to give you full context inside baseball. The interview is about 15 minutes long. We're going to keep, I believe we'll have a split screen as soon as we see anything from the White House. It's at the State Dining Room is where President Trump will be meeting with this roundtable of law enforcement to discuss the successes of Homeland Security with those task forces. As soon as we see a live feed, we'll go directly to that. If it's in the middle of the interview, we'll replay that interview in the near future, whether that's tomorrow or soon. So here's Mike Lindell for part 2 of our interview with him from within the past couple hours. And joining us once again here on Right Side is the great Mike Lindell. Mike, thanks so much for joining us on Right Side.
Thanks for having me on.
Definitely. Let's talk about politics. I know you might want to throw your hat in the ring. Is that right?
Yes, I'm very much considering running for the governor of Minnesota. With I've lived there all my life, and I feel that that I'm the only one that could win and get it back to normalcy. And it would be, we're praying about it right now, but it's looking pretty good.
It seems like, the people of Minnesota, at least the ones that are on the right side of history, the good-hearted citizens of that state would say, yes, we want Governor Lindell to be the governor of this state, right? I mean, isn't that true?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We've done polling, and yes, that is exactly true. Yeah.
And then can you talk to us about any kind of, has there been any kind of like social media attacks or anything against any of your networks at all from anybody in Minnesota as well?
Yeah, well, this has just happened. Funny you asked that. The Attorney General, I believe this radical Muslim, Keith Ellison, is just attacked recently my Lindell Recovery Network, everybody. My LindellRecoveryNetwork.org. It's a free online platform to get people off of their addictions, but the big win is to get them to Jesus Christ. And I set this up years ago. It's a C3. And I put in all the money, and he's come out of nowhere now to attack this, to try and take it down, this help center, to get people. So I figure, Matt, either he's doing it because it's a Christian network, or maybe he's let's attack Mike more so he doesn't run for governor. And it's really a shame because people go there. I hear it all over the country. My uncle, my brother, my son, my wife, whatever. Yeah, you went to your network. It's free. It's online help, and they found Jesus. And I thought they were incorrigible, but with God, all things are possible.
Can we talk about that quickly before I let you go, Mike? About the fact of being saved as a Christian. In our belief system, it's you become a new creation. So, isn't that what you think? Even the left-wing radicals need? They need saved, right? Because it totally transforms your life.
Absolutely. And that's why I say never give up on anything. With God, all things are possible. And I look at, a lot of these people on the left, and especially in the media, that have attacked me for 4.5 years, actually longer. It's going on 8 years probably now. But I became indirect friends with a lot of them. And all I've been doing is witnessing to them. A lot of them, when they did interviews with me, I made them read my book before I would even give them a long interview. And they would be torn. Even Jimmy Kimmel read my book and he was somewhat torn. And a lot of them have gotten saved, they see, and there is hope for anyone. And because it's a complete change, it's life-changing, and it's you get hope. I mean, people out there that are feeling all this nonsense, craziness going out there, it's just hopelessness. It's hope. If you don't have Jesus, I mean, you can get through anything. With God, all things are possible. I'm a living example. You go back to when I was a crack cocaine addict in the streets, and to where God brought me. And by the way, when I quit everything on January 16, 2009, I just prayed to God that I would be freed of the desire for all these addictions. I had crack, cocaine, alcohol, you name it. And I woke up in the morning and the desire was gone. Now, I thought, Matt, that was the day I was saved because it was so different. It was like, wow, I felt so good. But I didn't get saved till February 18th, 2017, everybody. Now, I wore my cross, whatever, and I always wanted to be that person, but I didn't know. Couldn't get to that personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And I did a full surrender February 18, 2017. And what led up to that was like, I look at God, to prove God exists, like I look at the mathematics. This is a 1 in a million that this happens. This is a 1 in a billion, or this is impossible. When you add them all together, when do you consider it a miracle? And you got these things that led up to me. Here's a former crack addict, and all of a sudden I'm in the White House with the president in 2017, and the cameras come on to the nation. I'm sitting next to the president. All my former crack cocaine friends are going, what is this crack addict sitting next to the president? Jesus is real, yes, because this would be impossible.
Amen.
This would be impossible. I want to say one more thing to give people hope. People say, I see people all the time and they're going, Mike, I prayed and this didn't happen and this didn't happen. And people turn away, they're getting close to believing. And then they go, maybe somebody passed away, whatever they're praying for didn't happen. And I said, you know what? Those prayers are reactionary prayers, and mostly, and they might not be God's will or God's timing. And I always say, well, where is God's will? God's will is in the Word. And if we stay in the Word, they align beautifully, and you can be proactive in prayer and have a peace that, hey, this is all in God's timing. And believe me, I've had to be very patient. If you look up patient, if you go, you don't see a picture of me, Matt. Okay, but I've had to learn that and just keep my faith going. There's days I wake up and go, Lord, please, today can you open doors no man can shut doors no man can open, but then I look back and you see even the bad things that happen, God uses for good for those who believe.
It's exactly right. You're talking about Romans 8:28 as well, and we know that all things work together for the good to those that love God and are called according to His purposes. Before I let you go, I want to ask you a question about the memorial for Charlie Kirk, which was about a month ago and a few days. That was a spiritual renewal that really got kicked off. What a powerful time that was, Mike.
Yeah, that was was God used that for the biggest revival in history for Jesus Christ. I mean, you talk about something so horrific, but I can't believe, or I have to believe, that more people got saved now and can continue to get saved. It's like, everyone that spoke, it was like talking about Jesus. People wouldn't even expect it. It was like they were, it just came out, right. And they're going, everybody's faith, where maybe some people were, I can't talk about my faith or whatever, but boy, they did. And they did, people you didn't even expect. And it was an amazing revival for Jesus Christ. And then think of all the people that are called out now for the horrific things out there, where, there's one thing of free speech, but there's another thing of just complete hate. And boy, it was so, and to see people those people, by the way, they're the small fringe minority. And I think to have other people see, hey, there's a better way. There's a better way than following the media that's brainwashed people and these radicals out there that are, of course, now we're finding out a lot of them are paid. So
yeah, exactly. It's so true.
But
there's just a small percentage of the No Kings protesters are what represent the entire United States. The media acts like it's like half or the majority of the country. It's not even close.
It's not even close. I was in Denver when the first one they did, and I'll tell you, it was. There's very few places I've been where I have any fear. And I was with my wife, and we were at the Colorado trial. There, another corrupt trial. But anyway, that's another story. But the first King's protest was there, and we had walked up the street to go to a drugstore, and all of a sudden, here they come, and they're coming down the thing, and the street there, and there was no police or anything. So it was but all of a sudden, and it was very, of course, the hate, you could feel the hate. Well, then my wife was inside and I was out there, and this lady, she went just crazy. This area is Mike Lindell. Now, I've been in a lot of places, Matt. I've had guns. You read my book. I've had guns to my head. I've been some of the worst hoods in the United States, some of the worst places known to man, and in this country and in Mexico. And at that moment, I'm going, you know what? This mob here would be capable of anything. And normally I would stand there right there, and I go, I got my wife inside. I didn't want her coming back out. I went and got her, and the owner let us go out the back door. But it just shows you it was a different kind of protest. This was a hate. This was complete hate. And now were there a lot of people? The big scheme of things, but there was quite a few that would have, that would join in just by this one lady coming up and hating me in my face. And she's looking around, who's going to come on board? And then they started yelling and what, you know what I mean? It was it was a I hate snowball.
Yeah.
It was like a big hate snowball.
The momentum. I know, I get it. And there's a difference between a peaceful protest. We have the right to do that as Americans, regardless of what we believe in. And then there's a difference between when they could say that they hate someone, that's allowed, but when there's any incitement of violence or physical threats or an actual physical assault, that's where it crosses the line. And you were in that situation wondering, is this going to happen to me? But again, you here's the thing. You stand with that light that shines from you. And I was watching yesterday a number of Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries and others, and I just looked at their nonverbals. Their vibe, Mike, was just so, there was nothing there. There was nothing positive, nothing joyful, nothing life. It was, right?
That's it. You know, that's just it. It's joyless. And you know, I've told people this, and this just happened to me too about 3 weeks ago. Over the last 4.5 years, since I was the one holding up my hand in January 21, we've got to save our country with our election platforms, and then the hate got, moved up. But I could go anywhere in this country. I could go I remember I went to the Democrat convention, the heart of Chicago, right in the middle of the protesters, and they're wanting pictures and stuff. I mean, there was it wasn't like this big threat, but this happened just the other day. I was down hunting in Iowa, and a town that I used to live in, actually, and we had pulled into this store, and there's 4 of us. We're all in camo and we're hunting and whatever. And here this guy comes up, and he just starts in and just crazy. And I can't even repeat what he said on your show, but and then my friend was standing up to him. I said, "Get in the car now." And he gets the guy. I said, "Don't talk, back to him." And I just told him, "I'll pray for you." Of course, then he really went ballistic. And well, anyway, we got in the car and left. And they go, "What's?" There's 4 of us. I said, "You guys don't get it." I said, "This guy comes up outnumbered 4-1, and he still was the hate that came out of him. That's just beyond." That's the devil itself. And it was, and it shows, but that's happened only 5 times by 5 individuals in 5 years. So like I say, this is, and we could say, I can only pray for him. He needs a complete, here's Jesus. He's got a deep, empty wound within him, which a lot of them people out there do. They're just, they don't know what to do. And when they do these, these protests, like the King's protest, majority of them, I believe, are just lost. They're lost. They need something, something to grab onto. And if that's hating our president or whatever, and that's all they got. And it's very sad.
It's the indoctrination over the years, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, I made a speech at the White House at the Rose Garden back in March of 2020, right before the China virus. And I said a nation had turned its back on God. We had taken God out of the schools, and I was praying for grace, God to give us grace and for us to get back in our Bibles and back with our families. And it was so true. And then people come up to me all the time.
The President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please. Oh, it's a great honor to have all my friends here. It's like Old Home Week. What a job you're doing. And thank you very much for that. We want to begin by thanking the people that have done such a great job at the White House. They have been doing really incredible work during a shutdown. I don't even know if they're supposed to be working, but they wouldn't miss a day. So I just want to thank everybody for that very much. And we're here today to discuss a sweeping, unprecedented, and historically successful operation that my administration has carried out in recent weeks to arrest, prosecute, and permanently remove members of foreign drug cartels from American soil. And the people gathered around this table are the ones that are doing it, and in this room. Some of them sitting a little bit behind. In fact, some of them I'm surprised are not actually at the table. You people should be very insulted by that. But You've done a great job back there. On my first day in office earlier this year, I signed an executive order to officially designate the drug cartels and savage transnational gangs as foreign terrorist organizations. It was my honor to do so. And on that same day, I also signed an order directing the creation of the Homeland Security Task Force to bring together all federal, state, and local partners to achieve the national policy goal of eliminating the cartel presence in America once and for all. And the results are, and it's early, and the results are spectacular. Led by ICE and the FBI, this task force includes the Department of Justice, the Department of War, DHS, the intelligence community, ATF, the DEA, the U.S. Marshals, and the state and local agencies in every part of our country. Other than that, we don't include too many people. That's a hell of a group, isn't it, huh? When you think of it, that's not a group you want against you. Certainly not at one time. In addition to the task force members, we're pleased to be joined by representatives of law enforcement at every level, the highest level, actually, but every level, including National President of the Fraternal Order of Police, Patrick Yos. Where's Patrick? Patrick, thank you, Patrick. Thank you for the endorsement, too. That really hit it off. I would have gotten 98% anyway, but it was still good to have your endorsement. Thank you, Patrick. I don't forget those things. President of the National Sheriff's Association, Chris West. Chris? Thank you, Chris, very much. Great. Good job. Major Cities Chief Association Executive Director, Laura Cooper. Laura? Thank you, Laura, very much. Major County Sheriffs of America Executive Director, Megan Noland. Megan, thank you. Thank you very much. And President of the National Border Patrol Council, my friend, and a very good speaker, by the way. Whenever he gets up and speaks, I say, that guy can really speak. I don't know. I don't want him to run for office. I want him to stay where he is. Paul Perez. Paul. Thank you, Paul. Where is Paul? Hi, Paul. What are you doing over there, Paul? Good job. Good speaker you are, though, Paul. I mean it, too. You've made some incredible speeches, and all from the heart, too, right? Some great ones. Today you'll hear details from my national security and homeland security teams about the extraordinary historic achievements of this new Homeland Security Task Force since it became fully operational last month in all 50 states. The job they're doing. What we inherited from this past administration is like disgraceful. In a matter of weeks, the task force has made the largest number of arrests of cartel leaders, operatives, and gang members in American history, more than 3,000 and counting. That includes members of the ultra-violent New Generation Cartel, the Sinaloa Cartel, the LNFM Cartel, MS-13 Cartel, and you know MS-13, the gang, and Tren de Aragua, another beauty. That's a group of real garbage we have to deal with, that we shouldn't have to deal with. These are, in addition to the massive numbers of dangerous criminals my administration arrested nationwide since January 20th, numbering over 120,000. It's a record, and 120,000 criminal arrests. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, for 4 long years before I took office, the last administration allowed the cartels and their operatives to frankly take over our country, to freely infiltrate America and all the communities nationwide. Along with transnational gangs, these groups have unleashed more bloodshed and killing on American soil than all other terrorist groups combined. These are the worst of the worst. It should now be clear to the entire world that the cartels are the ISIS of the Western Hemisphere, in addition to their monstrous violence, such as cutting off heads, burning their enemies alive, and burning innocent people alive, too, by the way. The cartels control large swaths of territory. They maintain vast arsenals of weapons and soldiers, and they use extortion, murder, kidnapping to exercise political and economic control. Thank you very much, Joe Biden, for allowing that to happen. Biden surrendered he just surrendered our country to the cartels. Don't worry, it gets better. We're taking it back. It's really fast at levels that nobody's ever seen before. But what we had to put up with, what we inherited, was just a disgrace. And while Biden was president, if he was president, I think the auto pen was president, not Biden, nearly 100% of those who infiltrated our southern border did so because they were personally approved. They admitted they were just what happened, assisted by the most dangerous and violent criminal organizations anywhere on the planet, the worst people on the planet out into our beautiful country. Under the Trump administration, we're finally treating the cartels as the core national security threat that they really are. The cartels are waging war on America, and just as I promised in the campaign, we're waging war on them like they've never seen before. All you have to do is turn on your television and you'll see what's happening to them. Past administrations have tried to mitigate this threat, and our objective is to eliminate it. We're not mitigating, we're eliminating. We're getting them out. The bad ones we're putting in prison. We hate to do that because that means we're stuck with them for 50 years or more. In recent weeks, our Homeland Security Task Force has seized more than 70 tons of deadly narcotics, along with more than 1,000 illegal guns. And that's just recently. This is already the most successful anti-cartel and anti-gang operation in American history, and it's just getting started. We have incredible people. A lot of them are in this room with us today, and it's an honor to have them. But we're going to not stop until the threat has been fully and completely eradicated. I want to thank task force members with us today, including a person who's doing a fantastic job, Attorney General Pam Bondi. Thank you, Pam. Thank you. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Sounds so much better than Secretary of Defense. I don't know. Do you guys agree with that? I don't know. It sounds, we won the First World War, the Second World War, everything before and everything in between. And then we got woke and we said, well, let's call it defense. I think we like it this way better. It's funny. That's something I thought it would be maybe controversial. And it's only controversial that we changed the name in the first place. It's not controversial at all. It's been unbelievably well accepted, Pete. Hasn't it, right? It's been pretty amazing. I thought it would be controversial. People want to have our country back. People want to do exactly what we're doing right now. We're getting a lot of credit for it, and we should. I want to thank, though, Pete. You're doing a great job. Pete Hegseth. Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Kristi, thank you very much. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, good job. And the heads of all of the law enforcement agencies all throughout the room. You're really amazing, the job you've done. To provide additional details on our mission, I would like also to ask General Bondi to say a few words, followed by Secretary Noem, Secretary Hegseth, Director Gabbard, Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller. Stephen, you're such a superstar, Stephen. They called Stephen the other day a very bad name, and I said, you should sue them, Stephen. I think he will. I hope he does. FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. And I just want to say it's an honor, the job we're doing, and these people are doing absolutely incredible. I'll just add a couple of things. In Memphis, as you know, where the numbers are down in half already, and it's only been about 2 weeks. You're doing a fantastic job there. Thank you. Incredible. Nobody thought it was possible. It was really it was a very sick city. It was horrible what happened there. People would go from, if you're on the board of FedEx, they would ride you 1 block to the hotel. They said you couldn't walk it because it was dangerous, and they're already feeling better about it. But the best example right now is Washington, D.C. We went from one of the most unsafe places in the planet, I hate to say, but in this country, to a totally safe city. It's nothing's crime-free, I guess, but this is about as close to crime-free as you're going to get. And you guys have done an incredible job with that. Every one of you have worked so hard on this one, and it's our nation's capital. And people would go to the nation. They'd go from, I always say, Iowa, Indiana. They'd go from Florida. They'd come up. They want to see the monument. I want to see the Lincoln Memorial. I want to see one of the monuments, any one of them, and they'd go home in a coffin. But not anymore. It's not happening anymore. We haven't had that happen in a long time. It was averaging more than one a week, one person a week. Who would think that's possible? And it hasn't happened anymore. And we have a safe city. We have a city where the restaurants are booming. People are going out. Nobody's being mugged, hit over the head with a baseball bat. None of the stuff is gone. We took out 1,700 criminals, many of them career criminals, many of them given to us by Joe Biden and his ridiculous open borders policy. They came in from jails from all over the world, not just South America, from all over the world. Jails, they came in from mental institutions and insane asylums, all drug dealers, and we got them the hell out of here. They're either that, or if they're so bad, as I said before, we put them in jail because we can't take a chance that they come back. But I want to just say that Washington, D.C. is such an example of what could be done. And now the same thing's happening in Memphis. We're just halfway through the process, and already the numbers are far superior, far better than what we would have thought at this time. And Chicago, I just saw the number. Last week, it was last weekend, 4 were murdered, 11 were shot. And then I have this guy Pritzker, is a very weak governor. Let me be nice. I'm going to be very nice. He's extremely weak. He's pathetic. I have Pritzker get up and say how great they're doing in Chicago. They're doing very poorly. So 4 were murdered, 4, 11 were shot. I would say, and that was not a bad week for him. Okay, that was not a bad week. He's had somewhere 18 or 19 were murdered. And you know what his excuse was? Yeah, but that was a long weekend. Okay, can you believe it? He said that was a long weekend. He's bad. And the mayor is worse. I mean, that mayor is worse. Low IQ, very low IQ. And we don't need low IQ people. We need people that are going to take care. And I love Chicago, and I love those beautiful women. Black women, beautiful women wearing MAGA hats, and they're all over the place in Chicago. They want protection. They don't care if it's the National Guard, if it's the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines. They'll take Space Force, okay? Space Force, send them in. They just don't want to be mugged, killed, raped, shot in the head, and we stop it. So we're going to be given a very special we're going to give Chicago very special care. As you probably know, maybe you heard, we were going to do a big surge in San Francisco, but I got a great call from some incredible people, some friends of mine, very successful people. Mark, everybody knows him, and Jensen, everybody knows Jensen, NVIDIA, and others called me from San Francisco. And they said, we're working really, really hard with the mayor, and we're making progress. Would it be possible for you to hold off the surge? And I had 4 or 5 calls, and I think they're making progress of their own. That would be the greatest. I mean, if they could do that, that'd be great. And they have great competence in those people. I mean, incredible competence, some of the smartest business leaders. And they're working very well with the police department. They're doing a good job. So we are holding off that surge, everybody, and we're going to let them see if they can do it. I said, I think we can do it much faster. I know we can do it faster. I think we can do it better than anybody. We can take criminals out that they're not going to know about, and probably they don't have the legal authority maybe to do what we can. But I'm okay with it, and we're going to let San Francisco, has the potential to be, it was a great, great city, has the potential very quickly to be a great city again. And these are the companies that are there that are all working, and those are the people that asked me, could you do away with the surge, and let's see how it works. And we'll do that. If we need to, we'll do it. But it's possible that we won't need to, and we will be focusing on other places like Chicago, and we'll have Chicago taken care of very quickly. But just remember, 11 people shot, 4 people murdered, okay? And that was this weekend, and that was Chicago. And then you'll see Pritzker get up and talk about, well, we have it under control. They don't have it under control. It's just the opposite. It's getting worse. So we'll take care of, as soon as we give the go-ahead, which is all I have to do is give the go-ahead. We won the big court case the other day on the National Guard. That was a good case. Same thing with Portland, speaking of that, because that's where we won it. But, I mean, I looked the other night, Saturday night, Portland is like burning to the ground, and these people are saying it's just friendly stuff. The whole place is burning to the ground. So we'll take care of that one. That's like an insurrection more than it is anything else. That's crazy. Portland's crazy. And then you listen to these radical left people talking about it's really okay. You're seeing things. You're really seeing things. So we're going to take care of Chicago. We're going to take care of Portland. We're going to take care of Memphis. We're proud of D.C. There's nothing to take care of anymore, but we're not going to let it ever go bad. It's never going to happen again, our nation's capital. And with that, I'm just going to tell you that Pam Bondi has done a fantastic job. And Pam, would you say a few words, please?
Thank you. And thank you for your leadership. And this is all about collaboration. And around this table, I'm looking around this table, we all work so well together. I don't think another administration in our nation's history has worked so well together. We talk constantly, Secretary Noem, Tulsi, Pete, constantly, but also all of our agencies working hand in hand, and that's why this is so successful. And these people around this table are working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, even though the Democrats have tried to shut down the government. Terry Cole, I'm laughing because you're around the clock, you're all over the world. Director Patel, you're unstoppable what you're doing around this country. Gowdy Serralta, U.S. Marshal, Rob Sakata and Dan Driscoll wearing your ATF hats. Rob, I was on the texting, Todd Blanche and I were on the texting you at 1 a.m. on cases. I mean, that's how committed all of these people are to just keeping all of our citizens safe. And that's what it's all about. And this project is the brainchild of Stephen Miller. And you are doing so much to keep our citizens safe, our kids safe, and get these drugs off our streets. Like the mayor of San Francisco and I are going to be meeting on fentanyl in a few weeks and working hand in hand on that. Secretary Noem spoke to him. But the results of this last month have been historic. As the president said, in the last month, think about this, 3,200, more than 3,200 violent gangs and drug dealers have been taken off the streets. Off the streets. Now, Director Patel and all of these agencies have also been working so hard on getting the leadership. But we are getting all the gang members off the streets and the drug dealers, Sinaloa, CJNG, MS-13, and more, TDA. 91 tons of drugs have been seized as a result of this task force. We tried to put this in perspective for you. This would be filling 4 18-wheelers, all the drugs just in the last month that have been taken off the streets. 58,000 kilos of cocaine. Think about a big backyard swimming pool. That would fill 1.5 swimming pools. Just the powder cocaine that has been removed, saving lives this last month, thanks to all of these people around the table. 2,300 kilos of fentanyl powder and 2.1 million fentanyl pills off the streets. And as the president said, more than 1,000 illegal guns. The Biden administration was, for way too long, all of these great law enforcement officers pounding the table were not able to do their jobs. What they've said is now they've been uncuffed. They can do their jobs. We've been watching transnational gangs grow in our country, become organized, set up infrastructure in all of our states, but no longer under President Trump. We are destroying the infrastructure, and we're no longer on defense. All of these great men and women are on offense, so they better get ready. We're dismantling the cartels, and we are taking the leaders into custody and all of the gangs. We are going to supercharge this work. This is permanent. We are here to stay, and Secretary Hegseth, we couldn't do this without you and the Department of War. Thank you all so much for everything you're doing around this table, working tirelessly. And President Trump, thank you for giving them the ability to do it.
Thank you, Pam, very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, since the year 2000, we have lost over 1 million Americans to drugs, to overdoses, to these cartels that have proliferated that kind of a disease on our people and have gone to war with our next generation of Americans. When you signed the executive order that was protecting the American people from invasion, what you did is that you took these cartels and gangs that we've known for decades and you declared them to be what they really are, and that's terrorists. You declared war on them, and you didn't say we were just going to fight them. You said we are going to destroy them. And everybody around this table is so honored to be here to work with you to destroy these terrorists that have been killing Americans for years and getting rich off of it. I'm so proud of the work that was done just in the September surge. You referenced that earlier. We had over 400 operations that went down in those first 43 days of the Homeland Security Task Force in operations that brought, as Pam referenced, 3,200 terrorists to justice, got them off the streets. Sir, we also have had over precursors and chemicals that were brought in. We've had the work at the southern border. We've got Border Patrol here at the table with you. Fentanyl has been cut down by 50% coming into this country over our borders. We've continued to work not just nationally, but internationally and on our maritime borders as well. The ICE agents that have so much violence against them and threats against them, sir, they get up every day ready to work with this task force to be able to keep people safe. And then we've got Coast Guard, who's been doing just a ton of our incredible interdictions out on the seas and the waters in cooperation with operations that you've targeted in the Caribbean with the Department of War. And sir, I just want to thank you for the leadership you put at this table, for your cabinet members, for Stephen Miller, for putting this in place to make sure that what you did when you consolidated the Homeland Security Task Force, you other task forces that were already established in the federal government, and you streamlined them into this room, into this group right here, so that we can look at each other in the face every day and say, what's our problem? How do we address it? How do we fix it? And then we go to work together with our arms linked to do exactly what you told us to do. And that's not just protect the American people from invasion, but to kill these terrorists. You gave us the task to eliminate them, destroy them, so that they can't destroy the next generation of Americans. So thank you, sir. Thank you for the people you put around this table.
Thank you very much. That's a great job. Thank you. Pete?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. Chief, likewise, Tulsi and Todd and Dan and Pam and Christy and Stephen and Cash. I mean, I could go around the table. From the Department of War, we are thankful and grateful for the incredible effort that your agencies put in. And we could not be more proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, not superficially, not kind of over here, but front and center on the Homeland Security Task Force, right there with you. Because our department has spent over 2 decades defending other homelands, and we're very proud of our own. And if you talk to the troops down, say, on the southwest border, Mr. President, morale is sky high and continues to be, because they're proud to be defending their own communities, their own state, and their own country. So when that executive order was signed, the mission was clear: protecting the American people against invasion. And so the Department of War went straight to the southwest border. We still have 10,000 troops there. We have national defense areas. We're standing alongside the Border Patrol, and we've locked that border down, 100% control of the southwest border. We stopped the invasion. And then we're proud to be going on the offense, counter-cartel operations. And it's not counter-cartel, as was mentioned. These are designated terrorist organizations, foreign terrorist organizations. Our generation spent the better part of 2 decades hunting al-Qaeda, hunting ISIS. Well, as the president said, this is the ISIS, this is the al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere. They intimidate, they terrorize, they extort, they poison the American people. The president's right. Every boat we strike is 25,000 Americans whose lives are saved because of the drugs that were headed in our direction. So our message to these foreign terrorist organizations is: we will treat you like we have treated al-Qaeda. We will find you, we will map your networks, we will hunt you down, and we will kill you. And you've seen that evidence in the maritime domain, whether it's in the Caribbean or in the Pacific with the last 2 strikes. We know exactly who these people are. We know what networks they work with, what they're a part of. We know where they're going, where they originated from, what they're carrying. And they know we know. And that will soon start to change the calculus of these boats. So the critique of this is, of course, as often is the case, wrong. We know our authorities. It's locked tight. And we're going to treat them like foreign terrorist organizations on the offense. So the Department of War is not going to degrade or just simply arrest. We're going to defeat and destroy these terrorist organizations to defend the homeland on behalf of the American people, making the jobs of law enforcement safer in the process, making the communities of Americans safer in the process. We think it's a very core mission of the Department of War, and we're proud to be here, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Pete. Thank you. Tulsi, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The key reason that you are hearing about these incredible effects is, number one, the team that you've assembled here and the leadership and the tone that you have set, first and foremost, about keeping the American people safe. The intelligence community plays a critical role in being able to support our law enforcement at the federal, state, and local level to make sure that they are armed with actionable intelligence to be able to actually go after those who threaten the safety and security of the American people. Mr. President, under your leadership, for the first time, there is a newly created National Intelligence Fusion Cell at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, National Counterterrorism, that has a very simple purpose: to make sure that we have two-way intelligence sharing of actionable information between the intelligence community and law enforcement. I want to talk briefly about three successes that we've had just here in the last few weeks, Mr. President, through the success of this interagency fusion cell. Just this last week, our National Counterterrorism Center supported, through actionable intelligence to both U.S. law enforcement as well as Mexican law enforcement, the arrest of a Sinaloa cartel boss, El Plato, in Juarez, Mexico, as well as his top 3 money launderers. In a separate and recent successful interagency operation, NCTC worked closely with the U.S. Marshal Service that led to the arrest of another dangerous Sinaloa cartel member responsible for tracking a huge amounts of cocaine and hundreds of thousands of dollars in this single incident with drug proceeds. And I'll say the last example I'll share is probably the most insidious, was providing intelligence to the Mexican law enforcement that led to the arrest of a CJNG cartel-affiliated baby trafficker called La Diabla. Her whole money-making operation was centered around luring pregnant women, performing illegal C-sections, harvesting organs, and selling newborn babies. Mr. President, it's your leadership that has made all of this possible. I can tell you, in the midst of this government shutdown, our folks, like everyone around this table, are working 24/7 without pay and eager to get after this because they believe in your leadership and the mission that you have presented to them. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll hand this off to Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller, the leader of this task force.
Let me just say, Mr. President, that this country was going to die without you. This country was going to actually die without you. That's what we were facing in 2024. We've been invaded for 4 years. Our communities were sinking. Our public safety had gone to zero. Cartels were running entire communities. Sex trafficking, child trafficking, labor trafficking was out of control. Overdoses were out of control. The cartels were claiming more and more territory. City services were buckling. This was a country on the verge of dying, and you alone saved it. And when you stepped forward originally in 2016, you started the movement to make America great again, and that means make America great again in every way, and that means safety and prosperity and peace and freedom from cartels and crime and gangs. And your vision and your leadership in declaring war on the drug cartels is the single most successful public safety initiative in American history. And I need the media to understand what President Trump has done. People have been talking about drug cartels for longer than I've been alive. And everyone has just taken for granted that they can't be touched or stopped. They're too big, they're too powerful, they're too evil, they're too murderous. They can operate with impunity. And in just 9 months, President Trump is the only American leader, not just in our lifetimes, but ever, to actually take the fight to the drug cartels, to actually seek their eradication. And it is happening. And so while the Democrats are shutting the government down and fighting for free health care for illegal aliens, look at what President Trump has assembled here. He's assembled a team under his vision, direction, and leadership that is saving hundreds of thousands of lives. Hundreds of thousands of lives. And only President Trump could have done this. And I will say one last thing, which is that his courage has been an inspiration to everyone else in this room. There are people in this room, I'm looking at, for example, at Todd Lyons, who have been relentlessly doxxed and harassed and threatened. But when they see President Trump's courage, what he's been through for 10 years to save America, when they came after his family, his businesses, his safety, his freedom, everyone at this table knows we can give whatever it takes to get the mission done. So President Trump, thank you for your leadership, your boldness, your courage, and your vision. We're honored to serve underneath you.
Well, I want to thank you, Stephen. And I have to say that, I've been making the rounds. I'm leaving tomorrow for some very big meetings, including with the president of China. where I think we're going to come out very well, and everyone's going to be very happy. But everybody said the same thing. A year ago, we had a dead country. We were a dead country. We really were in a lot of ways, not just this. We were dead as doornails on this, but we were a country that was in serious trouble and beyond that. And we have the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. The whole world is talking about it. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're going to clear up this crime in our cities. We can do it quickly, too. They showed how quickly we could do it in D.C. It was a real bad place. It was a real mess. Dirty, filthy, disgusting, graffiti all over the place, tents on every ounce of parks that we had. Just disgusting. And I rode around last weekend. I rode around the city. I felt very safe in that car, but, you know, I would have done it without it. I wouldn't need that car so much anymore, I will tell you. But the place was clean. We've started that also, not only law and order, but the cleanliness is important. I think cleanliness is almost a part of law and order. If you see dirty, and potholes all over the place, and railings falling down, and graffiti all over the beautiful statuary marble columns, those gorgeous columns where they had graffiti, it's all gone. And I think it's a part of it. I really do. I think it's a big part of it. But we have a city that we can be proud of. We're going to be that way with every city we have. That's why with San Francisco, I wish them luck, but we could do it so much faster. I told the mayor, I love what you're doing. I respect it, and I respect the people that are doing it. They're the biggest people in the country. They're the biggest people in the world. A lot of the high tech. Some people like them, some people don't, but they're smart, and they want to do it. And I said, I am so honored to let you do it. And if it doesn't work out, we'll do it for you very quickly. But I just want to thank the people around this table are amazing. Cash, please go ahead.
Mr. President, I'll just keep it short, but I think what the media should realize is the amount of courage it takes to do this. And you led that mission. You led it during your campaign, and you brought it to the American people. I think the media should focus on some of these numbers the Attorney General just riled off. Those aren't numbers, those are lives. Lives saved by the millions. Enough enough fentanyl to kill over 200 million Americans, gone, evaporated, off our streets permanently. Your vision to safeguard Americans and our children and our future is the most courageous thing I've ever seen a president of the United States ever do. And your ability to marshal it out in 8 months, these statistics would have taken other administrations decades. And the partnership that you see around the table, I just want to, sum it up with the following. When I call these folks around the table, when I call our state and local law enforcement partners who have been absolutely critical to this mission, when Stephen Miller called me and said we're going to create the Homeland Security Task Force and the FBI and DHS are going to co-lead it, I said absolutely. The country's been yearning for this and needing it. And the one thing I see different than any other administration is when I call these people, they pick up. I don't get a voicemail. When I make an ask, they answer, and the same is true. And so the FBI is playing a pivotal role in your administration in helping lead out this mission, and Stephen's vision has finally come to life. And instead of attacking the people at this table, maybe the media should go out there and talk to the lives that have been saved forever and the communities that have been safeguarded, because it takes courage to do that. It takes courage to implement that plan, and it takes a president and President Trump to put a leadership team like this together. We are actual friends, and I know the media doesn't want to, but we do that. We do hang out. We do work together. It's a 24/7, 365 mission that doesn't turn off, Mr. President. And as Stephen said, we're inspired by your leadership, and this country's thankful for these 8 months, and I can't wait to see what the next 4 years looks like.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Cash. Great job. Todd, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The number that I think matters, over 3,266 terrorists have been taken off the streets in 2 months. And for each of those arrests, there's anywhere from between 4 to 20 law enforcement agents, federal, state, and local, executing those arrests. And that means every one of them are putting their lives on the line to make these arrests, to make our communities safer. And so what I will say to them is thank you, but also what I will say to them is that to the extent that there are politicians, as recently as today, suggesting they are doing something wrong. We have governors, district attorneys, mayors, and even congresswomen suggesting that our federal law enforcement and the state and local law enforcement that are helping them are doing something wrong. That is disgusting and something that we will not tolerate. that every day Attorney General Bondi and I talk with all of our partners, making sure that they know that if any one of our federal agents, our state or local agents working under the HSTF banner are even touched by any of these terrorists or rioters, they will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. When politicians aid these terrorists by trying to give them comfort or protection or suggesting that somehow our men and women are doing the wrong thing, same problem. We will not tolerate it, Mr. President. So thank you to all of our state and local men and women that are helping us, and our federal law enforcement officers that are literally putting their lives on the line every single day. We will always protect you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Todd. A really good job you're doing, too. Thank you. Any questions maybe pertaining?
Mr. President.
How about pertaining to this for a little while? And whoa. Would you have any questions of these incredible people?
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. President, thank you. Good to see you. If I could just ask both of you, including Secretary Hegseth, there's reporting the U.S. just sent B-1 bombers near Venezuela to ramp up some military pressure. Is that accurate, and can you tell us more about that mission?
No, it's not accurate. No, it's false. But we're not happy with Venezuela for a lot of reasons, drugs being one of them, but also they've been sending their prisoners into our country for years under the Biden administration, not anymore on the border. We had actually nobody for the last 4 months, I guess 5 months. They say they report nothing. They report zero. I don't know if that can be possible, but we'll accept it, right, fellas? But we have closed borders. We have people coming into our country, but they only come in legally. We have the strongest borders we've ever had. We might have the strongest borders of almost any nation right now. And that's a big difference from what it was 2 years ago when everybody was pouring in. But we're very unhappy with Venezuela because of what they've done. They've emptied their prisons into our country. Nobody can do that. Only a stupid person would have accepted it. And that's stupid people. So we're not happy with Venezuela, I will tell you. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Mr. President. Thank you, President
Trump. You okay?
Yes. On fentanyl.
We're going to lose
Sorry
him.
about that. On fentanyl,
we have
President
some
Trump.
good medical help right over there. That's all right.
On fentanyl, according to CDC data, nearly 330,000 Americans died over the past 5 years from fentanyl. That's 1 in every 1,000 Americans who died.
It's more than that, but that's all right.
Yes,
it's
I
more.
know you think it's even more.
I'll be discussing that with President
Yes,
Xi.
so that's actually my question.
I figured it was.
I was wondering, since it mostly comes from China and has caused such carnage in the U.S., what are you going to say to convey the seriousness? And also a second question for you or Secretary Hegseth. Is there any evidence that China is now smuggling fentanyl through Venezuela to bypass U.S. and Mexican port controls?
They are doing that, yes. But they are paying. That's billions and billions of dollars that they're paying. We're actually, on November 1st, the tariff on China goes to 157%, which is record-setting territory. And we don't want that because it's not sustainable for them. They can't sustain that. We don't want them to have to go through that. So I'm meeting with President Xi, and I would say we have some big issues, like with the farmers and various other things. But the first question I'm going to be asking him about is fentanyl. And if you think about it, they make $100 million. Think of this. They make $100 million selling fentanyl into our country, $100 million. They lose $100 billion with the 20% tariff. So it's not a good business proposition. It's $100 billion approximately that they have to pay. It's a big penalty to make $100 million. So I think they want to do something. They want to put it on the list. It's on the list. It's one of the things we're talking about, and I'm putting it right at the front of the list. So they pay a very big penalty for doing that, and I don't think they want to be doing it. And we'll see what happens at the end of next week, because I'll be meeting next week, as you know, along with we're stopping in Malaysia, we're stopping in South Korea, we're stopping in Japan. I'm meeting with President Xi actually in South Korea, so it'll be the first thing on the list. Yeah, please.
Yes, Mr. President.
On the drug boats, sir, has there been any discussion about capturing one so that you can show the amount of narcotics?
We know everything about them. Yeah, Jennifer. We know everything about them. We know where they're coming from, who they're coming with, generally who's in the boat. I'll let Pete discuss it a little bit, but they have incredible intelligence. And, you know, usually when you see 5 engines, I've never even seen that before, but when you see 5 engines on a boat going about 65 miles an hour, loaded up with white powder in silver cases, generally speaking, that's not a good sign. They're not going fishing, right? And you don't see any fishing rods, right? So, Pete, I'll let you discuss that a little bit, please.
Well, yes, sir. Likewise, generally you don't see fishing in submarines either, sir. So the U.S. military, as I mentioned, nobody better in the world at mapping networks, identifying who's connected to who, terrorist organizations. It's just the media is used to hearing that when it pertains to Afghanistan and Iraq and ISIS and Al-Qaeda. But if you reframe how you understand the world in our own hemisphere, that's exactly what these foreign terrorist organizations are. And so we will track them, we will map them, we will network them, and we will hunt them and kill them because they're trying to and they are killing and poisoning the American people. And inside that, we have all the license necessary, all the authorities necessary to take these kinetic strikes, and we'll continue to take them.
And we've been, you know, just to add, because I think it's important, we've been capturing them for years. You know, it's not like, gee, let's capture one. We've been doing that for years. For 25 years we've been doing it. Not at a level like we're doing it now, I mean, just with the hits we're hitting, but we have much more intensity than any administration's ever had. But we've been capturing these boats for years, and they get back into the system, and they do it again and again and again, and they don't fear that. They have no fear. The thing I can tell you right now, it's very hard to find any floating vessel right now on the Pacific or in the Gulf, and I would like to call it by its official name, the Gulf of America, another little triumph of the Trump administration. I said for years, I said, why do we call it the Gulf of Mexico? It's 93%. The shoreline is 93%. All right, so I never understood that. So I made that change. I never realized how easy that was going to be, other than, I guess, AP fought us in court, and the judge said, but that's the name. And actually, they were sort of semi-prohibited from even covering us after that. It was pretty amazing. But we have the Gulf of America, and there are very few boats, very, very few boats, not even fishing boats, to be honest. I don't want to do that to the fishing industry, but it's been so effective. And our sea drugs, as they call them, they use the term sea drugs, the drugs coming in by sea, are like 5% of what they were a year ago, less than 5%. So now they're coming in by land, and even the land is concerned because I told them that's going to be next. You know, the land is going to be next. And we may go to the Senate, we may go to the, Congress and tell them about it, but I can't imagine they'd have any problem with it. I think, in fact, while we're here, I think it's a good idea, Pete. You go to Congress, you tell them about it. What are they going to do? Say, gee, we don't want to stop drugs pouring in. They're killing 300,000 people a year. I think that's the real number, 300,000 people a year. So between that and my discussion with President Xi, I think we have never made progress like we've made. The sea drugs are almost, and they can't come in that fast from the land. And the land drugs are much more dangerous for them. It's going to be much more dangerous. You'll be seeing that soon. So that's the way it is. Yeah. Go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead, please. With the glasses, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Good.
I wanted to ask, what's your reaction to Representative Dan Goldman calling on NYPD to arrest ICE agents who he says are acting illegally? He says they are illegally assaulting people and illegally detaining people at immigration courts in New York.
Well, I know Dan, and Dan's a loser. You understand. He's a guy that doesn't have what it takes. He's been trying so hard, and they're exhausted. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Like that. So, they're just trying so hard, and it's not working. They've even now started imitating me, of all people. They want to imitate me, and they start using foul language, but they use too much of it. You can't use the F word 7 times in one sentence. It doesn't work. It might work once every 7 news conferences, but you can't do it. You can't do it 7 times in one sentence. So I don't know. They're really they're in big trouble, that party. Go ahead.
Mr. President.
Some alleged smugglers have survived some of these recent strikes and been sent back to their home country. if they're terrorists, why not just arrest and detain them?
Go ahead.
2 points on that. First, when I served in Iraq in 2005 and 2006, we used to, in sort of a gallows humor way, talk about the Iraqi catch and release program, the reality that we would catch a lot of people, hand them over, and then they would be recycled back through, and we'd have to recapture them or attack them again. And that's why changing the dynamic and actually taking kinetic strikes on these boats ought change the psychology of these foreign terrorist organizations. To those two that survived the shot on the semi-submersible, think again, compared to Iraq and Afghanistan, the vast majority of people that we captured on the battlefield, we handed over to the home country. Did we always like how it shaped out? Sometimes we did, sometimes we did not. But 99% would go to the Afghan authorities or the Iraqi authorities. So in this case, those two, they were treated by American medics and handed immediately over to their countries where they came from, hopefully to face prosecution, which is a very standard way of handling something like this.
And you'll do that with future survivors, anyone else who survived?
We've got protocol of how we'll handle it.
Not that guy. He's so hopeless. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yesterday, there was a vote at the Knesset on annexing the West Bank. Do you see it as a challenge to your peace efforts?
Could you say that louder, please?
Yes. Yesterday, there was a vote at the Knesset in Israel on annexing the West Bank. Do you see it as a challenge to your peace efforts?
Will you answer that, please? Because I cannot understand the words you're saying. Where are you from? Where are you from? You're from France. Beautiful accent, but we can't understand what you're saying. Huh?
She said a vote at the Knesset on the West Bank.
The West Bank is, don't worry about the West Bank. Israel's not going to do anything with the West Bank, okay? Don't worry about it. Is that your question? They're not going to do anything with the West Bank. Don't worry about it. Israel's doing very well. They're not going to do anything with it. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. Are there any safeguards in place to protect Americans from fentanyl and cartels when you leave office in 2028? Any protocols that could be put in place in case a future administration comes in that wants open borders? And I also have a question for the Secretary of War as well after your answer.
Well, the biggest thing we can do is make sure they don't come in, because open borders, they would destroy. It's amazing that our country is even surviving with what we went through, coming in by the millions and coming in from the wrong places. You know, I know all these people that run these countries, and they're smart. They're very street smart, and they're not sending their best, you know. They're not sending, they're taking them out of their prisons and their mental institutions, as I say over and over again. They're the drug dealers. They're the drug addicts. They're people that don't work. I mean, the best of them are people that don't work. They don't work. They're on welfare, their form of welfare, which is tiny. You know what their form of welfare? They give you a piece of paper. But they want people that work. They don't let those people come out because they want those people. You know, they cherish those people. Those are the people that make their country run. They give us all of the people that don't work and are murderers. 11,843 murderers came in. 11,800, many of them committed, more than 50% committed more than one murder. Now, why do we want them? Why would Biden and that group of thugs that he had working for him, why would he accept? Nobody understands it. You know, they say maybe they wanted the vote, but I did great with the Hispanic vote, but these are people from all over the world. Why would they do it? So one question, no matter what, you always like to know the opponent. You have an opponent. What are they getting at? And usually you can. Why would they allow 20 million, maybe 25 million people into this country, almost all of which, but most of which should not have been allowed into our country? It's one of the great enigmas. What they've done to this country should never be forgotten. In history, should never, ever be forgotten. And now it looks like we're going to have a communist mayor in New York. That'll be a lot of fun. But remember this. They have to go through the White House. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Today you pardoned the founder of Binance. Can you explain why you chose to pardon him? And did it have anything to do with his involvement in your
Which one?
family's?
Who is that?
The founder of Binance. He has an involvement in your own
the
family's
recent
crypto
one, yes.
business.
I believe we're talking about the same person because I do pardon a lot of people. I don't know. He was recommended by a lot of people. A lot of people say that. Are you talking about the crypto person? A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything. That what he did, well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You're fake news. But let me just tell you that he was somebody that, as I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him. But I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support. And they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime, that he was persecuted by the Biden administration. And so I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please. Yes, Daniel.
President, thank you so much.
This is the kind of question I like.
Yeah,
right here.
the numbers from this task force are jaw-dropping. I wanted to know, this is a question for you and both Stephen, since it was said this is your brainchild. What are the lessons to be learned from the success of the task force, and what are your continued goals with this task force now that you have about 3 years left?
Well, the best thing we have going is we have such talent around this table. I could go over every one of these men and women, and we have unbelievable talent. They've got the naturals, like somebody that hits a baseball or a golf ball or that you see more. It's more evident. It's beautiful because it's sports. You can tell somebody right away, are they good or are they not? These people are the most talented people at what they do. And when we started talking about this, Steve, it seems so easy. What is surprising to me is how quickly we can straighten out a large city, a big city, a mean city, a city that's sick, that got very sick with guns all over the place, with bullets shooting all over, where you take your life in your hands if you go out and buy a loaf of bread. That's not America. That's not our country. And those people don't care how you do it. They just want it done. They really do. When you go to the, they don't know, is it National Guard? They just want it done. They want to be safe. And we've gained a great following of Americans, real Americans, people that want to be safe. But I think the biggest thing we say is we have tremendous talent. We were able to recognize, like a football team, like a baseball team, we were able to recognize the talent. And the talent is largely in this room for the whole country. It's largely in this room. There's really nothing like it. And that's why I think we had D.C. done, not perfectly, but pretty much done, at least normalized in 12 days. Would you say 12 days? On the 12th day, it felt different. And we took a lot of bad people out, never to come back again. Then most of them never to come back again. But there's great talent, and there's also great courage. I've been. And then you have the radical left lunatics, and what's that all about? I mean, they're fighting us because we want to stop crime. Where do these people come from? They're paid money. I guess they're paid a lot of money. But like I saw that ridiculous march the other day, I say, these people are not representative of our country. And not all of them, of course, but many of them are total lowlifes. These are lowlifes. These are people that are paid agitators, and they're not representative of our country. So I don't know. I can just tell you that our country has tremendous spirit right now. You know that better than anybody because you cover it well. But we have a lot of people that are very happy right now with the direction. They did a poll the other day. The direction of our country is better than it's been in 37 years. And I'm upset because I think it should be better than that. I actually said we should be better than that. So, thank you very much for your question. Brian?
Mr. President, yes. Thank you, Mr. President. You guys have done an amazing job in Memphis. Some of those numbers are staggering. And we've gotten message on social media wanting to thank you for that. But I think, can you talk about the number of missing children you guys have discovered in Memphis? That's amazing.
Well, it's hundreds of thousands were lost through Biden and the Biden administration. And we are getting a lot of them back, but they're either dead, they're slaves, they're captured in some form. But think of it, hundreds of thousands we're talking about. Not even believable. And they came in through the border. They were sold. They were bargained for, and this was all Biden, meaning Biden and Obama, the same mentality, frankly. I think it's the same mentality. Let me tell you, Barack Hussein Obama was a lousy president. A lot of bad things happened. Remember when they used to talk about Trump with the jail cells? Well, he built the jail cells for the children. He built those jail cells. Remember that came out? But, sir, they were built in 2014. You remember when that came out? After me going through that stuff for about 2 weeks, and then they found out it was Barack Obama that built those jail cells. No, these people they were bad leaders. I hope we don't have it again. I hope we don't have it again, because, you know, our country's come back a long way, but it can only withstand so much, and we don't want to ever go through that again. We never want to have open borders again. We don't want to have men playing in women's sports. We don't want to have transgender for everybody. We don't want that. We want to have a great country with low income, nice housing, great education, a strong military, the basics. Yes, please.
In last night's New York City mayoral debate, Zohran Mamdani said he would close Rikers Island if elected. What kind of impact would that have on public safety?
Well, it's not good. I guess it's not a very nice place, but you need it. You need something. You have a lot of additional people in New York City that should not have been here. They came here through the open border, through Biden's. You know, I don't know how they even do it. New York City's always been tight for money, and then they spend, you know, $8 billion, and nobody complains about it, on people that just showed up and they just came out of nowhere. Where did they get the money? All of a sudden they have money. I tell you what, we have to keep our prisons very fair and very safe, but you get a lot of criminals. We have a lot of additional criminals. I used to talk about it. They used to say, well, only good people come in from foreign countries. I said, that's not right. I didn't know that for a fact, but it had just started, right? The open borders and people flowing in by the millions. They make our criminals look like the nicest people on earth. That's the only good thing. They make our criminals look like nice people. They are the meanest, the most vicious. Tren de Aragua, you don't get any sicker. They cut people's fingers off because they called the cop. Did you call the cop? Yes. They cut off his finger so he can't call the cop anymore. And then they say, next time we're going to cut off your hand if you cut, because they took over his apartment in Colorado. You know, Colorado, they took over a town, then they took over another town, and you have a weak governor over there. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing, so he lets it go on. But we're getting them out of here. We're getting them all out. They're going back to lots of, not just Venezuela, they're going back to lots of countries. Venezuela would be one, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
A moment ago, you said that if Secretary Hegseth went to Congress and briefed them on the operations
no, we
against
will
these,
go, I said.
You will go. And
we
it would
will
be
go.
difficult for them to object.
I don't see any loss in going. No reason not to. You know, they'll always complain, oh, we should have gone. So we're going to definitely, I'd like to just tell you, let's go. We'll go.
And Mr.
We're going to
President,
tell them what we're going to do, and I think they're going to probably like it, except for the radical left lunatics.
And Mr. President, if you are declaring war against these cartels and Congress is likely to approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead. Okay? Yeah. Yes, red hair.
Thank you.
Beautiful red hair.
Thank you. I'll tell my hairdresser that. She'll love it. This is a question for both you and the Secretary of War, Mr. Hegseth.
Who are you with?
I'm with the Center Square. We're a newswire service. With everything that's going on between the narco-terrorists in the Caribbean, and then also with more Chinese, Iranian, Russian ships also taking part in Venezuela. Are you have any plans of expanding operations out of Roosevelt Roads and in fact placing some home porting some ships there?
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
We're familiar with the location that you're referring to, and we'll make sure that we're properly displaced in order to deal with the contingency we're dealing with there, and also any ways in which other countries would attempt to be involved also. So we can walk and chew gum. We're definitely keeping our eyes on near-peer adversaries at the same time, but we think sending a message on these cartels, these narco-terrorists, is an important inside our hemisphere, which for far too long, other presidents, as the president pointed out, they've ignored our own backyard and allowed other countries to increase their influence here, which only threatens the American people. We're changing that.
One big thing that has happened, though, because you expansion and expand our efforts. So when I was running for office, second term, everybody was talking about the fact that nobody wanted to join the military, nobody wanted to join the great police force. They didn't want to join New York's finest or any of our police forces. They didn't want to join anything having to do almost like with the country, with the uniform. We are setting records with the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, Coast Guard. We're setting records. We've never had anything like it. And I'll tell you when it started, November 5th. We didn't even have to wait till January 20th. They saw spirit. And now we have people coming in that are, it's unbelievable. And if we wanted to increase our military force, if we wanted to increase any one of these, including police forces, they can now get men. People didn't want to be policemen and women. They didn't want to be firemen and women. They didn't want to go into the military. We were having tremendous recruiting problems, and now we're setting records. We literally, last year at this time, you were doing stories that the recruitment was a disaster. We couldn't get men and women to go into the military. Now we have such an overabundance. We've never had, I mean, it's, as I understand it, it's like record-setting recruitment. This is in less than a year. It's been amazing. So this is a good time to expand if we want to do it. And I think we should. I think we should. We probably will. Yeah, please. Yeah. Blue.
A couple questions for you. First for you and Secretary Hegseth. Is the administration supportive of sending National Guardsmen to cities for the express purpose of aiding deportation and immigration enforcement efforts?
To expand deportation efforts?
Sending National Guardsmen to U.S. cities for the express purpose of aiding deportation and immigration enforcement efforts.
What we've done is stand alongside federal law enforcement in every way, facilities and personnel, but also we have a great deal of lift inside the military. We're able to move assets in a way that no other aspect of the U.S. government can. And so where we can rapidly assist with mass deportations, we have been happy to do that.
And then one more question, if I may. Is the administration at all supportive of potential measures to crack down or regulate or even ban apps that track ICE agents' locations?
What do you mean by that?
Like specific apps that are used to track the location of ICE agents?
I guess we'll do that. I'm not a big app guy. I'm not into that too much. I think Pam might be it. Let's go.
Yes.
Good answer there.
Yes. These organizations, President Trump, are coming in and their apps to track our federal law enforcement officers, and it jeopardizes their lives, where they're going to be, their location. And we've actually been working really well with the tech companies who have been cooperating because they don't want our law enforcement officers to get injured. So, yes.
Well, I mean, I see it with ICE, where they're having, where they define where they live, who they are. And, I didn't have a big view on the mask, but I now understand why they should wear masks. I think it's very dangerous for them not to wear masks. They can do whatever they want. I notice some do it and some don't, but it's pretty dangerous. But when you look at, you talk about that question, I think it's very dangerous, and I think you're coming. Yeah, please.
Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. When you were running for re-election in 2024, you released a video statement where you made this exact promise to show no mercy on the cartels and employ every military asset necessary to combat them. In that same video, you also said that you plan to expose all the bribes and corruptions with politicians and the cartels.
We're doing that. Yeah, we're trying to do that.
Looking into that in American politicians.
Yeah, where the money's coming from. Because you see it. Like even that garbage deal they had this weekend, which was embarrassing to them, and the crowds were the crowds were not big. Those crowds were not big at all. But when you look at signs, and they're all made beautifully, the yellow signs, I saw the yellows, the blues, but they're all made professionally in a printing shop, looks like on Madison Avenue someplace. Some guy is paying for all that stuff. And we don't mind protest. Protest is a good thing. I protest. I'm always protesting, right? But when you see some of these people are going crazy. They're going crazy because they're getting paid. Because there's no reason for them to be going crazy. But you watch some of them, and they're professional agitators, and we are finding out who's paying them. Yeah, we have a lot of information about who they are. You're going to be very surprised when you find out.
And I have a question for Secretary Hegseth. Sir, a memo circulating on social media details the establishment of a National Guard response force that's going to be trained in crowd control and civil unrest and deployed in all 50 states by April of 2026. Can you verify the authenticity of that memo, and do you have any more information on the operations?
I'm not going to answer particulars on something that may be in the planning process, but we definitely do have multiple layers of National Guard response forces, whether it's in each state, whether it's regionally, whether it's Title X active duty, whether it's Washington, D.C. We've got a lot of different ways that constitutionally and legally we can employ Title X and Title 32 forces, and we will do so when necessary.
Thank you. President Putin basically said today that Russia is immune from U.S. sanctions. He said that it would not impact the Russian economy in any serious way. Is he
good.
wrong?
I'm glad he feels that way. That's good. I'll let you know about it in 6 months from now. Okay, let's see how it all works out. Yeah, go ahead, please, Blue.
One about the shutdown. I'm Taylor Poplars with Spectrum News. The same day you established this task force back on January 20th was the same day you pardoned the January 6th defendants.
Yeah, very proud of that. Yeah.
Just last weekend, one of them was charged with allegedly threatening to kill House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. And a big theme of this task force has been allowing law enforcement to do their job and holding accountable people who go after law enforcement. Do you worry that your actions back on day one undermine what this task force is trying to accomplish?
No, you have thousands of people we're dealing with, and you know, if one goes haywire, look at what this guy in Virginia said, where he wanted to kill his opponent. He's going to kill his opponent. He's going to kill his opponent's children and I think wife, and he continues to run. And the Democrats continue. He's running for Attorney General in Virginia. Look what he said. So now, do you think all Democrats should be prohibited from living anymore? I mean, think of what he said. He's going to kill his opponent, and he's going to kill the children of his opponent, and I think the wife. I said, this guy's sick. That is a sick guy. And how do you vote for somebody like that? But I don't view that every Democrat would say that, because not every Democrat would say that. So you can't, you could have one person. The incident. I can say we're very proud of what we did. We had the courage to do something that should have been done. The problem, sometimes the Republicans are too nice. They're a very nice party. A much dirtier fight. It's amazing. You go after dirty cops like Comey, and you go after, these are dirty cops. Letitia James is a dirty cop. You go after these people, and they say how horrible you are, and yet I got indicted 5 times and impeached twice. Nobody says anything about that. They say, they actually said the other day, he's trying to indict somebody. I got indicted 4 or 5 times, Todd, maybe more than that. Yeah, I think you could say 87 times if you really think about it, right? With the charges, a bunch of phony guys, but nobody says anything about that. But they mentioned it the other way. No, the Democrats play a very dirty game. It's all they're good at. They're good at a couple of things: cheating on elections and playing very dirty. And they have one good trait: they stick together. They stick together. They stick together through the worst policies that anybody's ever seen. It's unbelievable how they stick together. And I respect them for sticking together, but it's a dead party because their policies are no good. Okay. Brian, we'll do a few more and we'll go home.
Wonderful.
Everybody's going to go home. I'm going back to the Oval Office, however.
Speaking of Democrats, there's a report that there's a grand jury on Adam Schiff for apparent mortgage fraud. If he is indicted, should he step down as a U.S. Senator?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. I would just say Adam Schiff is one of the lowest forms of scum I've ever dealt with in politics. He's a horrible human being, very dishonest person. I have no idea what's going on. You tell me that he's going to be indicted. I don't know. You could ask Pam. I don't know if she could say it. Probably you are allowed to say it, but I wouldn't know about that. I can only tell you he's a very bad. I think he's actually a sick person. Do you want to talk about that?
We're not going to comment on any grand jury that's open. We can't legally.
I don't know. By the way, I hope it's true, but I don't know anything about it. Yeah, please. Oh, millions of dollars, yeah. Well, I also give, I give a lot of money to the White House. The White House is, as you know, I give my salary, and I usually like to steer it to the White House because this house was a little bit abandoned. First of all, for 4 years, you had a guy walking around that didn't know where the hell he was. And this house was not taken care of the way it was supposed to be. I take very good care of property. I was very good at that. And you'll notice the floors downstairs. I paid for them. Marble, the most beautiful marble you've ever seen. The white floors down in the palm room, which they look like they came out of, I don't want to lose because they're big supporters of mine, Home Depot, so I'm not going to say bad, but they did come out of a box from Home Depot about 30 years ago. They were all broken, but now they have the most beautiful floors, the most beautiful lights and chandeliers. I think most of you, Brian, you've seen that, right?
Yes.
How beautiful is that? And I take care of it. So I spend millions of dollars on this building, taking care of it. It was not properly maintained. And now it's starting to gleam like it should. It should really gleam. And you should go down and visit the Presidential Walk of Fame. Have you seen it? It's quite good. I'm sure that a lot of people coming to the White House, it's hot. It's very hot. But it's really a tribute to the presidents, past presidents of our country. Yeah, please.
Mr. President.
Yeah, behind you, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So on Monday, a question for you as well as Secretary Noem. On Monday, Mayor Karen Bass of LA and Representative Robert Garcia, they held a press conference and they called for an investigation into DHS, accusing them of unlawfully arresting U.S. citizens and racially profiling and only arresting people because, in Robert Garcia's words, they look like me. He's a Hispanic individual. Do you have a response to that?
Are you asking me that question?
You as well as Secretary Noem.
They are arresting bad criminals, and they're really good at it, too. I look at the numbers, they always like to say that, oh, you're arresting this and that. Then when you check it, you find out, geez, almost every single time, and, obviously every once in a while they may get one wrong, but they always correct it. They're able to correct it. But they are arresting really bad people. They're arresting people that kill, people that would cut your throat and not even care about it. These are brave people, and it's very dangerous. And if they go even a little bit too far, they get into trouble, which is a shame. I protect them, but they get into trouble. But they're arresting very serious criminals, and they're getting them out of here. Okay, one or two more. Doug, do you have a question? I'd love to have Doug have a question, our great photographer, because he's such a great guy, and he might be the most talented person over there. I don't know. Go ahead. Let's hear your question. This guy's a real beauty.
On the cartel strategy, hearing you talk about it as a war, hearing Secretary Hegseth talk about defeating and destroying and the comparisons to ISIS and al-Qaeda, those efforts took American troops being engaged in foreign countries. Do you think that's ultimately where this is headed with the cartels, having American troops in countries like Venezuela?
No, the cartels are very bad. They have a lot of bad people coming in. They were interviewed recently, and they were asking people what their problem was, and one guy said, yes, I'm up for murder. Didn't know what he was saying, obviously. I'm sure his lawyer was not thrilled with his statement, but no, they're rough people coming into those cartels. You look at what happens, the trip up is horrible, especially for women. They're being killed, they're being raped at levels that nobody thought even possible. In my opening speech, I mentioned that, but in a very light way. I mentioned the word rape. Then I found out that you take a look at what happens in those cartels. It's horrible what's going on. And we're doing the world a big service by just telling them, you don't have too many cartels now because they know when they get up here, they're going to be stopped. Under Biden, they were just flowing into the country. It didn't matter what you were, where you came from, what you looked like, what your record. They didn't check records. Millions of people came into this country that should not be in our country right now. We've gotten a lot of them out. It's the single biggest problem that we were given. Inflation, I've already taken care of. Economically, the country is the strongest it's ever been. Thank God for tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we'd be a third world nation. But thank God for tariffs. We're the richest nation in the world now because of tariffs. And we're able to economically protect ourselves. And we're able to really protect ourselves from a national security, situation. But we have cartels that you know, somebody came up with the word cartel. I won't tell you who that person was, but you got a lot of bad people in the cartels. And you could look at a country like Mexico, and I really respect the president. I really respect a lot of the people over there, but a lot of the leadership. But they are in fear in their own country because those cartels are running those countries, okay? And that includes Colombia. Colombia is a drug den. It's a drug den, and it has been for a long time. You got a lousy leader over there right now, bad guy, a thug. But they make cocaine at levels that we've never seen before, and they sell it back into this, and they're not going to get away with it much longer. We're not going to put up with it much longer. Colombia is very bad. Mexico is run by the cartels. I have great respect for the president, a woman that I think is a tremendous woman. She's a very brave woman. But Mexico is run by the cartels, and we have to defend ourselves from that. Go ahead. Let's go with you. Go ahead. Let's listen to this beauty.
Shutdown by the time you return from your trip to Asia?
Do I expect to have it resolved by the time I return? I don't know. I said long ago we shouldn't have been in this problem. This was September 28th. It came due in Biden's regime, and before the election, September 28th, and they pushed it off into the future. And I was running when they did that. And when you're running, you say, what the hell are they doing? That and debt ceiling. You know, they also pushed the debt ceiling past the election date, so that would mean the next president has it. But I did say that I think the Democrats have gone totally crazy, and you don't know what they're going to do because they don't care about the people. They don't. I really think they have no leadership. They have a lot of very low IQ people. Jasmine Crockett, and a lot of them are. I don't want to insult too many of them, but a lot of them are. They have no rudder. I don't think they know what they're doing right now. You know, they've never done this before. They always agreed to go and, you know, called an extension. Let's do an extension and talk. Even today, look at what happened today. They don't want to pay the people that have worked. And, you know, this was supposed to be this was a test. And they wouldn't pay the people that have been working. They said, no, we don't want to pay them. This is all the Democrats. Now, all we need is 5 Democrats. And I know a lot of Democrats that are saying they're more than 5. Probably not that many more than 5, but they're more than 5. And all we need is like 5 Democrat votes so we open our country again. Sad, though, we have the greatest economy in our history. We have the highest stock market. All these things are rocking. We will have by the end of my first year more than $20 trillion of investment. The all-time record is $3 trillion. I think it's China. We're going to have $20 or $21 trillion. We've never had anything like it coming in because of tariffs. The money pouring into our country, the plants that are opening, AI, automobiles, everything. And the Democrats want to close our country. They're really, you know, they say deranged. They are. They suffer. I guess it's Trump derangement syndrome, which I think is going down now as an official condition by the doctors. I think they get paid extra money if they handle it because it's more difficult to handle than a normal mental disease. But you know what? They really should approve an extension, get the country back to work, get the people paid. And, you know, it's very simple. You just don't know what's going on. There's something wrong with them. Yeah, it's sad, actually.
Have you raised the full $300 million needed to fund your ballroom? And how much specifically are you donating to this construction project?
I think $350 million. All donor money and money that we put up. We've raised. It's going to be. It's going to cost right in the neighborhood of $300 million. It's been expanded and made absolutely. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world, I think.
And how much specifically are you donating to it personally?
How much am I donating? I won't be able to tell you until I finish, but I'll donate whatever's needed. I'll tell you that. Do I have a name for the? I won't get into that. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Without their first full paychecks, federal workers.
By the way, a friend of mine, talking about donors, a friend of mine, a man that's great, I'm not going to use his name unless he lets me do it. Susie can tell you. He called us the other day and he said, I'd like to contribute any shortfall you have because of the Democrat shutdown. I'd like to personally contribute any shortfall you have with the military because I love the military and I love the country. And any shortfall, if there's a shortfall, I'll contribute it. And today he sent us a check for $130 million. I would love to tell you he doesn't really want the recognition, if you want to know the truth, but he gave us a check for $130 million, which was sort of a shortfall, yeah. And that's going to go to the military, yeah. Is that the correct number? $130 million. That's what I call a patriot. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, there you go. You just witnessed the first Homeland Security Task Force meeting at the White House. Great to hear some updates about the National Guard, our military, and other topics, including the president's comments on indictments against James Comey and others. This live stream broadcast brought to you by a number of great sponsors, including All Family Pharmacy. So let's go to that one quickly. You may have heard of tirzepatide, the GLP-1 peptide, making headlines for fast, effective weight loss. Well, that's one of the many biohacking products you can get from our good sponsor at All Family Pharmacy, because biohacking isn't just a trend. It's about feeling and performing better every day. More energy, clearer focus, faster recovery, and healthier aging, all by giving your body the right support. So All Family Pharmacy goes beyond your everyday prescriptions with proven science-backed enhancers like NAD+ for energy, focus, and longevity. Samorlin to support better sleep and muscle recovery. How about glutathione for powerful detox and immune protection? Methylene Blue for brain performance and mental clarity. And yes, tirzepatide for weight loss, prescribed by a licensed doctor and shipped right to your door. So if you're ready to take your health to the next level, all you have to do is visit allfamilypharmacy.com/biohacking to get started today and use that RSBN 10 promo code to get 10% off your order. Let's also go to Monetary Gold. 2 banks have already failed in 2025, and with now $38 trillion in national debt, Monetary Gold says more failures, unfortunately, are on the way, and it's not fear-mongering, it's reality. The banking system is built on quicksand, and every new failure threatens depositors, retirement accounts, and pensions. The government can't bail out everyone, and when confidence collapses, so does the system. Monetary Gold tells us not to get trapped holding worthless paper. All you have to do is call 888-617-7994 or go to rsbnforthegold.com today, and you can secure your wealth with real assets. You'll get that info kit as well. All right, so we're approaching the top of the hour, about 10 minutes from now. You can get America First updates right there at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, if you missed any of our live stream today, we had 2 live streams, of course. It was the White House press conference earlier today, the press briefing with Carolyn Leavitt, and then, of course, this meeting roundtable with law enforcement and also a number of people from President Trump's cabinet there. If you missed any of that, go ahead and rewatch. We interviewed a lot of great people, and glad you stayed with us for both live stream broadcasts. And if you'd like to replay, you have it right now, that opportunity. For all of us at Right Side, my name is Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.